Okay, you guys. So this is a little anticlimactic at first, but it's because of a good reason. I always want to come when we stream the podcast to just kind of tell you what to expect, and then we like do it over again. So the starting soon is now going to have the intro music, but I do want to say hi to you guys and everything, and just love on y'all some, because this to me is nerve-wracking, and I feel really just kind of a big moment is coming with this one, so I would really appreciate everybody's just like support right now. Thank you for like making me feel good about myself. But of course we have Shambler and CK over on Twitch, and they're giving us the lurk today, so thank you so much. Really does mean a lot. And this is a good thing to lurk too, because it's just going to be straight up talking for a little over an hour. But yes, Lisa, I do love on you. Nintin, thank you so much. I've just loved having Nintin and Michael up in here, you guys, in my life, and back to zero. Like, please just know that I'm so thankful for you. I'm just so like crazy thankful for you. So again, this is a great thing to just kind of sit back and relax. But if you are chatting when it starts, I'm not going to see the chat until midway through. Then we're going to take a break, and there's actually going to be an announcement in that like transition period. I'll come talk to you guys, and then I'll be recording again for the latter half of the podcast. It should be about an hour and a half for the podcast recording. Any talking in between doesn't count in that, so it's like a 2-hour stream probably, you know? So I hope that makes sense, and I hope that you guys are ready. I'll just see if there's anybody else. Comes Vogel up in here. Thank you. Thank you. Again, this is a podcast, so you'll be kind of just listening to talking, and if you chat, I will read it when we're in the like break transitionary period and stuff like that. Do just want to make sure that I have a URL ready for you guys, so I will be prepared with that. But okay, let's moving that over just a little bit, and here comes the intro, you guys. We're getting ready, so I so hope that you are ready to go. Here, we need this. Okay, so I'll be right on here as I press record on everything. Okay, so get ready.
Bring 'em on down, bring 'em on down. The speakers up and turn 'em up and bring 'em on down. Bring 'em on down, bring 'em on down. The speakers up and turn 'em up and bring 'em on down. Bring 'em on down, bring 'em on down. Speakers up and turn 'em up and bring 'em on down. Bring 'em on down, bring 'em on down. Speakers up and turn 'em up and bring 'em on down. Bring 'em on down, bring 'em on down. The speakers up and turn 'em up and bring 'em on down. Bring 'em on down, bring 'em on down. The speakers up and turn 'em up and bring 'em on down. Bring 'em on down, bring 'em on down. The speakers up and turn 'em up and bring 'em on down. Bring 'em on down, bring 'em on down. The speakers up and turn 'em up and bring 'em on down.
All right. What is happening? Everybody, here we go. Let us fade it out of our esteemed intro. It is Kendocast. This is episode 4. I'm so nervous about this one. The stakes, I feel, are higher than any of the others have been. Welcome on in. If you've never been here, it's a podcast about YouTube, Twitch, content creation, and really mainly the types of things that you don't see like going on behind the scenes, but some of it you do know about. So there'll be like a nostalgia kick for anybody that was around in these days, and if you weren't, this will kind of get you up to date on some stuff that happened. But this was a huge year, you guys. 2015. It's called One True Shot, and this is being live streamed, but if you don't watch the live stream, you get to catch this as an upload on the channel with like edits, and like it's like a produced version or whatever. It'll have like zooming in and clips of whatever I'm talking about and all of that. So you guys, I am Dr. Kendo. Anyway, we left off last episode talking about just like how hard it is to succeed with kind of flying viral numbers while still having that like moral compass as a creator, just helping people and retaining a semblance of self. Like, and not to mention the obvious, like I personally am also, I'm bringing up behind the scenes things a lot because that's what the podcast is, you know? That's what it's all about. But like having my wife and dogs at the time in 2015, my dad and my sister having fallout and our issues after my mom's death in 2013. And there's been a podcast about every year up until now, 2012 till here. And then I was also in a full-time open office job, and like that came with a very, very manager that I reported to. And so I am just noticing, I think on the recording, I'm peaking up a storm. So I'm just turning that down like a little bit. Hopefully you guys on the live stream will still hear it. Maybe just turn up your volume a little bit. And thank you. Sit back and relax. In 2015's beginning, I was still coming off of these like absolutely viral Five Nights at Freddy's hits on my channel. Dude, we created the characters in Scribblenauts Unlimited. Just, you know, I know that I've picked up a few names since the last podcast because it's been a while since I recorded these and streamed these live. But like, seriously, we're talking like the first time in my life, just like millions of views. You know, I mentioned in the previous podcast, let's say like episode 86. It did 2 million views in 1 month, and that's just one video, and it's still the biggest video on any of my channels. I have 3 channels with 6.3 million or so, 4 million overall views right now. It's just nuts. So, many other hits as well, like the FNAF 1 with millions, Baymax, Big Hero 6, I don't know if you guys remember that, and the Purple Guy, 626,000 views, etc. Like, if you think about this all coming in just a matter of a month and a half, 2 months, like we seem unstoppable, right? Anything that I uploaded. But, you know, there is a parallel even to today, like, and how it hasn't changed a whole lot today, you know. Yes, like we aren't doing millions right now. It's not about that. Let me explain. I just maybe had like more of a base audience back then that would watch anything that I made. Like, if it was still vastly different, though, than, like, Scribblenauts FNAF, it didn't just magically do well. I sound like I'm contradicting myself, but the example is, like, in the same month, like, we did the Super Smash Brothers Wii U. Remember, that was when that was coming out and stuff. That was pretty new. I did this, like, esports-style commentary, and that did something like 400, 600 views in the first 2 days or so. Like, that's nothing to sneeze at, I'm just saying. It wasn't these, like, viral multiple thousands, hundreds of thousands kind of days, like, for things that weren't fitting that bill of Scribblenauts FNAF, you know? So, hopefully that's the overall point being hit here. But, like, you know, as 2015 was just kind of early, I did this Turn Down for Roy. Does anybody remember this? So, like, I was trying to do Mario Kart Wii. This was the Wii U, let's say. So, Mario Kart 8, I should mention. Parody songs about, like, the courses. Well, this one was about a character, of course, Roy, the Koopaling. And that was January 1st, 2015. It technically might have been, like, December 31st because the analytics, like, has a few views for that date and time. But YouTube's video page for it, it says the 1st. So it was copyright claimed within like a week later. So now it's actually sharing revenue still, all like, you know, $6 of it or whatever it might have made between 2015 to now. But, you know, Lil Jon ain't getting none of that. You know, it's probably UMG Music or whoever. But 20,000 something plus views like today. But it wasn't that many to start, and like January did have many hits outside of that. Again, so like after creating Sackboy in episode 92, like we had Big Hero 6's Team of Heroes. That was in episode 93, and that one featured my wife. I hadn't had her on a whole lot of commentaries for Scribblenauts before then, but maybe other things. So it wasn't like she was a stranger, but I am just saying. So like 525,000 plus views to this day. Like the first day it did about 3,000. It fit that Scribblenauts art style, that sort of chibi look, like no mouth. Some of them just had the Scribblenauts eyes, not like custom-made eyes and stuff. It was really fun. You know, like I said, again, if you watch this as a produced video, you know, there will probably be some clips and things of like especially big moments. I'm here fixing my mic. I'm so sorry, everybody who's listening to the recording. But, yeah, you know, we tried it again with the cupcake. In 20,000, I guess that was 2014 actually, but again with Shadow Freddy and Shadow Bonnie on January 18th, you guys. Speed create episode. So like no commentary usually, but just music, and most of them were less than 3 minutes. And it's so funny to say that now, like in a land of YouTube Shorts and TikTok and all that. It was like an easy way to like get some views in this crazy schedule that I had while putting out some content, because it didn't require the commentary for that part. But most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, they didn't achieve what my videos with commentary did. Like a vocal commentary achieved much more. But hey, I mean, some of those videos, like 453,700 plus views to this day. But yeah, like when I look back, there were some other things. Avengers, you guys, we created the Avengers. You got to think like, yeah, so I've mentioned plenty of times it was 2015, right? So like, yeah, you know where we are. But FNAF 3 animatronic. Do you guys remember when we didn't even know who that was? It was Springtrap. That was later it was known as in episode 95. But like those two that I just mentioned, 94 and 95, were like back-to-back episodes, which wasn't common for me at that time. Because again, I really want to stress how much I was doing. Like my wife was in grad school. Like I was at the typical 9 to 6, 8 to 5. I don't believe in like 9 to 5 jobs. Those like don't exist, unless they like specifically make it a point to say like we work 9 to 5 and pay you for lunch or something, or you only work 7 hours. You get what I'm saying. But yeah, like you got to imagine how many comments I'd be receiving. Like I was starting to get bogged down. Like, so think about just all the stuff I was in, the job, my wife, and I had dogs at the time, and my dad wasn't doing too well, and like it was a lot, right? And coming off the heels of my mom's death 2 years prior. Yeah, I hope I'm painting the right picture here, but FNAF fans, they could be brutal, dude. Like the other fandoms hadn't shown me this level of nitpicking. Like Minecraft kids got close to it, but holy, it would eventually lead to me actually disabling comments on that episode 86 that I talked about from 2014. Just because like constantly it was something, and I think a lot of the people now, when I think about it, it's like, yes, they were kids, so probably a lot of them were children and stuff like that, and you should have like a little bit more patience, but this was all like still new. Like imagine a shock of just like millions upon millions of views coming in, and like I didn't know what to do in some respects other than answer them. That was my thing. I replied to every comment, and people loved that about me. Like that was a big thing. Like I always care about people. I still do. And so it's like, just imagine that though. Like I'm trying to really get you into this feeling of just like, every minute, if I was checking my email or my YouTube, like there would be a new comment, and you got to think that like a good 60-70% of them are like, Bonnie is a girl, you're missing this piece, you didn't do this right, you said that wrong, you suck. Like, with good. I was actually really fortunate. I think that I lost track of just how many good comments there probably were out there, but certainly I was feeling the bad ones. That was like somewhat new to have them in that volume, right? So yeah, it and a lot of those were wrong, right? They're like saying Bonnie's a girl. It's like, do you know about Bonnie, you guys who are listening to me right now? Anyway, this is kind of cool though. I hope that this is like transitioning to something hopefully a little more positive, but like all of this was leading up to something I knew that I had to try. However, once I saw that it was announced, and this was PAX South of 2015, that's the first year that it would be happening. I'm in Texas, and like PAX South, just a hop, skip, and a jump away. And you guys, it was crazy because like, so PAX, it stands for Penny Arcade Expo, I should say. It's just sort of like your mini E3. It's like a little like video game convention. And when I say little, it's probably one of the bigger ones of the non-E3. And rest in peace, of course, to E3. But you guys, I arrived and I was put into a corner suite. This was really cool. It was even in the like little vlog that I did. I did a vlog about it on the channel. Not really vlog, it was more just like video clips put to music. But anyway, yeah, so like they put me in this huge, like I felt like hot, you know what, presidential suite. Not really, but it was a corner suite. And so, yeah, I had this dope room, and I tried to call Steph of Anime. I think I've told you guys about Steph plenty of times, but if not, you'll be hearing her come up in here. 2015, the Task Force 5, and all those friends from kind of the Mario Kart Wii days that I got who were really supportive. And so this all kind of came about because I was writing articles, like news journalism, essentially, for video games for Necessary Gaming. For those that missed the previous podcasts, just the quick one-liner about that is that Necessary Gaming was like an NCN, but like a sub-MCN under broadband TV. So an MCN's a multi-channel network. You don't need this, but back in the days, you kind of did, because like the YouTube landscape was different and stuff to navigate and to monetize gaming content. And yeah, it was... times were a little bit different, but anyway, I was kind of under them, and Necessary Gaming was good, okay? So, like, MCN, I kind of make sound bad, but Necessary Gaming was good, and it gave me this opportunity, right? Like, I got to go as media, and that was cool. I got to wear the badge that had my name, and it had media on it, and, so yeah, getting in as media with Necessary Gaming because of the journalism, but, like, we kind of also knew that Necessary Gaming, I guess I kind of found this out later, but it would potentially be shutting down the media part of the website, so like the article writing, and that would later then kind of parlay into the whole thing shutting down. So I know that I'm like giving you the crystal ball into what was to come. I don't often do that in the podcast. I try to tell it like, yes, it's past tense, but like we try not to jump too far ahead. But it was funny because my wife also, she wrote on her Mrs. Kendo Facebook page about it. I bet there hasn't been a post, maybe like one post since then, you know, that she's done or something. But she like actually wrote about it, just being like so proud of her husband for going and doing this. She was like, just, she was so happy that like I was doing this now because I was jumping into this YouTube thing so much more, like, because it's, you actually see now the kind of level of success that I could hit. Like it's that's insane. And so if anybody has actually been paying attention, I wouldn't expect, I don't know if you guys here that are in this audience specifically know about this, but there's a game called Gigantic. So yes, that's literally the game's name. There was a Gigantic booth, and I guess it was gigantic in size, but you think about a game like Battleborn and Overwatch, though, like, I think that, like, it's just all the news, leaks, discussions, etc. at the time showed that Gigantic had announced and released their first game. Like, their game came first, essentially, before Overwatch and all that, so they were, like, that kind of early sort of MOBA look at it, like that third-person battling MOBA, like Overwatch style, but Battleborn, you know. Anyway, I went and played their game as one of the first ones, and it seemed to be that the team that worked on the game was from everywhere, and so I think the guy that I was talking to might have been Canadian. I'm not positive, but like he and I were like vibing so quick. You know, I think it was just both of our first PAX Souths, because it was everybody's first PAX South, but like I don't think they had been to any other PAX. They're showing off this new game, right, that they're excited about. Their booth was so cool, so like I'm going to show clips and stuff on the produced video of this, but I got invited by him immediately to their after party. So you got to imagine, of course, it has an expo hall, like hours, and show floor hours, right? And so during the after party, we'd go to one of the other halls and get to play their game after hours and just talk or whatever. So, you know, I showed up there. I know I'm kind of leaving out a bunch of stuff. Otherwise, I'd be talking forever. But, like, I get to their after party and see this guy. Almost felt like, you know, first date kind of nervous. Like, this guy was so cool. Like, he and I just, like, so vibed and whatnot. But anyway, as I talked about my wife earlier, yes, you know, I have a wife. I was happily married. I'm just kind of adding humor to this. But, like, he was so happy to see me and everything, but then like introduced me to some of the other team, and I think this guy was German just because the accent, you know, he was from somewhere else, but like he was asking who was my favorite character to play as up until that point. I don't know if you guys know the game, but it was a character called Vidasi. So she's like a support healer type or whatever. That's my kind of like main class in any game, but I was calling her Vidashi. You know, I had never played this game before, right? So Vidashi. And so I tell this guy, oh yeah, like I love Vidashi. And then he goes, what's her name again? And it like almost seemed like he was like sizing me up, you know. He's like, what's her name again? You know, and got real serious. And I said, Vidashi, like I was like, Vidashi, that's my favorite character. And he's like, come on, man, it's Vidasi. Like, geez, okay, What's interesting is that game shuttered its doors. Gosh, that was probably like 2018, 17, somewhere around there. The game just fell off. It died, unfortunately. But I'm recording this March 14th, 2024. Rewind about a month and a half ago, and they announced that it'd be coming back. So Gigantic, I was in the beta test for a little while to help them out. I could have streamed that. I could have made content and stuff, but I'm old now, you guys. I'm like retired. But anyway, that game's coming back. So if you are kind of into that like style of MOBA, that's like the Overwatch gameplay and whatnot, you probably should check it out at least just to see if that would interest you. Very different landscape now to release it, but it's also under a new team, etc., etc. So we won't go too far down that rabbit hole, but I met the Night Squad team. So if you watched the Task Force 5 kind of at some time, but then also Dr. Kendo commentaries much later, unfortunately this team doesn't exist anymore, but it really, really great, awesome people, Chains Awesome Games. It's like Chainsaw Awesome, Chains Awesome Games. I know that Back to Zero knows them, who of course was Uber Blitz at the time, but I don't think I met Uber Blitz quite yet, you guys. But yeah, I did just kind of want to mention that because that was some of the coolest just like developer teams that I had ever met with, and I would then go on to do PAX South for every year until it died too. PAX South does not exist anymore. Okay. So, wah, wah. Anyway, back home and back on the grind in February, you guys. Meta Knight in Scribblenauts Unlimited on the 1st, King D on the 4th, and SpongeBob on the 8th. Sponge Out of Water, the movie, the heroes of that cast. From that movie on the 15th, all in Scribblenauts. And like Meta Knight, that video did about 3,000 views on that first day, and it made like $1.90. So I guess I'm just trying to paint a picture to you that like sometimes there is this thought like, man, YouTubers must be so rich. If you're getting like millions upon millions of views and stuff, you could be making a decent wage. You have to all put it in perspective. Some people think like 1,000 is a lot of money, and then some people think like, no, I need 5, 6, 7, 8, 20K in a month. It's like, what is your like rich or whatever? But you see me, someone who did like millions and stuff in December, a little bit in November, a little bit in January. Now that it's February 2015, I could release a video that does 3,000 on that first day and get $1.90. Like, how am I supposed to live off of that? So I guess that's the picture that I'm trying to paint. But February can also be like this low, sometimes high revenue month, depending on what is being marketed, right? And it also depends on your niche and all that. But like for a lot of gaming creators, and especially for me, as I'd find out, like, while, times have also changed nowadays, but like 134,900 views across the 8 years to today that Meta Knight video's done. But like, yeah, back then that's what it was worth. King D, that, however, did 35,700 like up until this today. So like, it's kind of interesting. That video, when it's 8 years till now or whatever the math is, it's done just about $26 in all those 8 or 9 years. But that's like $3.25 a year at that rate, in case anyone thinks that this stuff does make you rich, at least on my side. But hey, just on the note of stuff making you rich or not, like in the YouTube space, as my videos kept continuing to get these view numbers, and in December I had made about, I think I mentioned it on the last podcast, though, I negotiated my contract and everything to get more revenue share, but I made about $5,700 that year, and then it never happened again. Like that was the only time that I had ever done that. But that money does finally hit my wallet in February of 2015, because MCN's often paid that way. So like nowadays, even YouTube itself, like I said, you don't need the MCN, right? But it's just like 1 month behind usually, because that's obvious. You have to see what numbers that you do in that month before you know what you'll be paid, right? So like that just makes sense. But I can recall it was around this time, maybe a little bit before that, but like my wife and I were discussing kind of just late December, early January, as that was happening, me leaving that job. I mentioned I was at that full-time job, and it was creating so much just anxiety, stress, trauma, grief, physical symptoms, everything in me, right? Like, it was rough, dude. And it was this open office environment. And I think in general, it was a good job. But, like, certainly I would love to just, like, have done YouTube, right? You know, like, okay, YouTube only, or this job in YouTube and breaking my back every day and my neck like I have been, you know, what should I do? It became obvious. Just making sure that we are still recording, and we are. All right. But my wife and I are discussing it. She's a little bit kind of upset at first because the obvious, right? She's still in grad school. She was going to graduate, though, at the end of that year in the summer. And essentially, you know, it would just be kind of all on her back to be the, like, stable income at that point if I was to do YouTube only, because we don't know what's gonna happen, right? I was just so caught up in it, though. Like, $5,700 again, I would never see that again, but I didn't know that. I thought, hey, if I go, like, full-time with YouTube only and content creation, I could expand this further, and then I could make, you know, that money I was talking about before. She prayed on it that day. Like, so my wife is Catholic. Like, I don't really belong to a religion. I believe in God, but, like, I don't particularly belong to any specific religion. She prayed on it, and it, you know, it was like a change of face. It completely, like, the next day she was just like, yes, like, you've got to do this, you know. This is for later, but again, I don't want to crystal ball too much, but, like, her and I were both in for a rude awakening on this front. So I am sorry to say, but she said, you should do it. You should leave that job. Do YouTube. Yeah, we'll get to that. But, all right. Mario Kart 8 again. The course song parodies, they're still happening. I did a Music Park parody of Your Lips Are Moving from, who was that? Megan Trainor, right? Boom, that one copyright claim almost instantly. That one got claimed very quickly. And it's crazy, you know, like, that takes a lot of time, you know, because I'm not only recording all these vocals and, like, trying to do my best and stuff, but, like, I'm doing the music, you know, and I have to learn how to play that song. I'm a self-taught musician. That doesn't mean that you can be good or bad or whatever. Like, it just means that, like, you know, it doesn't come especially quickly to, like, listen to someone else's song and get it verbatim with all the background stuff, all the percussion and, like, everything, you know, and still make it your own. Like, I don't know. So I had mentioned SpongeBob and Scribblenauts, though. Like, that was episode 98, and Sponge Out of Water, that was, like, episode 99. Sponge Out of Water was kind of important when we made those heroes, because that was the first head object that I did separate than the body. I've mentioned the Scribblers before. I try not to give them too much more airtime anymore, just because, like, gosh, they were just, like, such haters and, like, little kids who were, like, bullying. You know, they were just absolute bullies, and I gotta admit, like, it was ridiculous, the kinds of things they did to me and stuff back then. You gotta go listen to previous podcasts for it, you know, so I'm not rambling on too much, but they kind of, like, speculated that I didn't know how to do that, the separate heads and bodies, because I never would. And, like, I knew for a long time leading up until then, I didn't want to continue on that way at first, doing the heads and bodies separately in Scribblenauts and then combining it as one object, because I'm already conveying to you guys, right, like, how stressed I am, how much I'm doing in my life, and then, like, what is the mental toll of my mom's death still? You know, that's, someone might be like, dude, it was 2 years ago, like, lighten up, you know, get over it or something. Like, no, it's like, it does not get particularly easier, you know, and there was a lot of fallout happening in my family and stuff. So, like, yeah, feeling a lot of effects of that. That you could see why I didn't want to kind of continue on that trend. That would create a lot more work for me and a lot more scrutiny. I don't know. I hope that's an obvious thing. But February 22nd, you guys, 2015 was our numbered, I specify numbered, episode 100. That was the Five Nights at Freddy's 2 endoskeleton. It was about, like, 6,000 views on that first day, which is good, of course, but, like, compared to previous, like, Sponge Out of Water, for example, that was around 2K the first day views, and FNAF content still king right there, of course. But I did, like, a little skit we weren't completely new to skits. We had some Scribble Ventures skits. We had some other stuff already. But this was a fun one, although like you could kind of see it was almost like poking fun at the FNAF community. And so I'm like surprised I didn't get more backlash for that. But it was just about like the FNAF kids in the comments section being the scariest thing. Like you'll have to go back and watch that skit, or I'll edit it in here, maybe an abridged version. But yeah, episode 101 on March 1st, 2015, Power Rangers, you guys. This was one of my favorites, just like for that time being. It had this little home movie in it, I like to think of myself as a guarded open book. I let you guys into a lot of my life, but there are things that I do keep like private because people are crazy, so like I have to keep certain things private. But I did show a home movie like clip in it, so I hope you guys enjoyed that if you watched it back then. But yeah, I really loved that creation too of all the Power Rangers, dude. I loved the Power Rangers when I was little, man. March 3rd, 4th, there's 3 FNAF videos about Phantom animatronics, and I definitely like reuse some templates of the older FNAF creations. Because can you imagine? It's like, okay, we got to create Foxy again, like a new version of him for like the 6th time, so of course I'm going to kind of take this template of the regular Foxy that I had to create Phantom Foxy, and testing like a format where I would do like speed create to then making the full episode of it on Sunday that had the commentary. So that was like a way, kind of, in my opinion, it doesn't sound that smart when I say it that way, but I thought it was like smart. Okay, I've got this extra content, so like speed create is not as much work, and it's still work that's necessary to get the full episode that comes out on Sunday. So it was a way, boom, to have a video during the week, and then boom, another video out on Sunday. Again, I'm working full time in that office and everything still, but hey, March 14th, March 14th, 2014 was an anniversary of the Task Force 5. So like the 15th coming around, like it was on that date, and we're recording this podcast on that. So happy anniversary to the Task Force 5 channel. But we made, I guess I made it mostly, but this video of like, I think it's super funny to this day on the Task Force 5's channel. Hopefully you guys are following over there, but if not, it's just youtube.com/Task Force 5. Don't write 5 as a number, like actually write out FIVE, but it took a lot of compiling and editing and stuff for like 156 views on that first day. You gotta imagine again, how much am I working here? And so like now I'm also working on the task force, like damn. But hey, like passion and fun with the TF5, not so much about views, like I'm just saying, it was like about those things. So damn funny. But yeah, March 15th, I had the left shark. You guys remember the left shark on Katy Perry's, I think it was hers, yeah, Super Bowl halftime show when left shark sort of became this like meme or whatever, I don't know, but yeah, so left shark, 28,000 views I think to this day, could be more now. But March 20th, I did an Electrodrome parody song, so that was another Mario Kart thing. And this one's like kind of stupid. Like when I go back and hear it, I'm like, man, is this kind of dumb? But it was simply because like I was kind of singing this like so on a riff, like just flowing or freestyling it to Wally Wynn from the Task Force and making him laugh at it. And so like it would become this trend of Task Force things that I was doing, like the interactions from that channel and hanging out with them, kind of impacting the main channel, the Dr. Kendo Commentaries channel. Thought it was worth a mention, but again, it's like so interesting because I look at the music nowadays and things are just so different, like I really don't think that Electrodrome parody was all that good. It was like a Britney Spears Will.i.am parody. Anyway, March and April 2015, you guys, like Simpsons, Majora's Mask, and Scribble Knots, but also, some of my favorite creations again from that year, if I had to like put a top 5 list, like there was Futurama and Gravity Falls. And so Gravity Falls kind of important, the latter, Gravity Falls, that was being like 385,000 to this day, something like that on the view count. Gravity Falls was sort of like that first foray with Steven Universe into something that would then have similar success waves to Five Nights at Freddy's. We're not talking the exact same, but like to see something that's not a horror franchise at that time that could also do well felt good to me. That was like a sign that like, hey, maybe this Scribblenauts series does have like a foundation to it. You know, it's not just all FNAF and then boom, they're gonna bounce. Should I mention this? I should. Utapam! And so that Utapam became this like meme around the channel, and people have still tweeted about it this year even. Like someone was tweeting about how he used to watch my FNAF videos. He was saying like, man, Dr. Kendo is like the entire reason with this Scribblenauts series that I got into Five Nights at Freddy's and like had this, you know, amazing thing that I followed for my life, like my younger life, you know. So like he said, you know, almighty Utapam forever, because eventually, you know, my wife is laughing in that Big Hero 6 one that I showed, hopefully on the produced version, but I mentioned that earlier in the podcast. When we made the Big Hero 6 team and I had her, I was like, I don't know what this thing is, but it's Utapam. And I was like, so now I just always type in Utapam, because you could also type in like naan, you know, naan bread. Like there was many different things. Tortilla worked for it, but I would always just literally type in Utapam. And it became so popular to say this like strange sounding word, which is a real word. It's a, you know, dish, like an Indian food dish, I believe. But yeah, Utapam just became this like thing. So that started in like 2014, 15. But it was in that Gravity Falls video, number 107. And so this is like just kind of an example of the stuff that I was dealing with, though. Like on the negative side was like Mabel. If you guys know Gravity Falls, there's a character called Mabel, right? Her name is spelled E-L, like M-A-B-E-L, right at the end. But someone commented like, it's L-E, stupid, like you idiot. You know, it's commented, it's spelled M-A-B-L-E. And so, like, I just wrote something like in this, like, literal way. I have it copied and pasted. I think that's what I said. But I said, you know, please come correct at least if you're going to nitpick me. And so then the person wrote back and said, STFU, she's 6. So what had happened clearly was a 6-year-old girl had gotten on there, left a comment like that, and I said something, yeah, maybe it's like a little bit like forward or whatever, but it wasn't like I was like, F you, you know, like I just kind of like said, come correct if you're going to nitpick me, you know, like, and he's like, shut the up, she's 6. You know, it's like, how the hell do I know that? Like, it's the dude's name. Like, you know, if his name is Chaz something, like that's what it said on there, you know. So it's like, how the hell do I know who's using that? And he's like, she's 6, like I'm some kind of like demon, you know. Like, so that's what I'm dealing with. And I would come to have like several, you know, interactions where the parent would like step in, and the parents sometimes were more irrational than their like 6 to 9-year-old kids, you know. It's insane. But on that video, you guys, this was insane too, because there was no internet because of AT&T. So yeah, I'm gonna shout them out in a negative way, right? But AT&T said that they were gonna like be there when my wife and I moved to our apartment. So our landlord basically sold our house out from under us. We were renting from our landlord at that time, and we had just like a rental house, very modest, and the people said it was like the bad side of town or whatever. It was nice and cheap and everything. We liked it. It had a good yard for our dogs at least too. Like, anyway, yeah, he like there was one day that the landlord like asked us if the inspectors for insurance or something like could come, and so if we could like put our dogs, he's like, can you just lock your dog in the garage? And I was like, no, I'm not gonna do that, you know what I mean? Like, I was nice to him, but I was just like, I really don't feel comfortable with that, so if you could, like, just tell me when you're gonna come over, and then like I'll be out of the house with my dogs, like I'll take them, you know. And so he did that, but what we didn't know, I think, was that he was trying to sell it. So that's like some shady stuff, right? Because like he didn't tell us this, but he was selling it to some other like investors or something, you know, someone who's probably gonna like flip it and, you know, mess up the property values for the whole neighborhood, you know, whatever, because he's probably getting like fat paid and stuff like that. So my wife and I had to suddenly pick up and move, you know, and so we moved to some apartment from being in a house. And if anybody's made that transition with 2 dogs and you have this yard and stuff, like it's a little bit rough, especially in a town that is desirable. Like my town has always been here in Texas. Like Texas is a boom place, as weird as the state is. I will tell you, a lot of people move to Texas. But yeah, so AT&T said they were going to be there. They weren't there. And so I didn't have no internet. So I was like scrambling to get this episode uploaded at a Starbucks because it was very important to me to have everything uploaded on Sunday mornings, same time every Sunday. And it was like a life or death thing, which is weird now that I'm in like YouTube retirement, to think about. But like I was so hinged on that schedule, like nothing could break it, right? So, all right, let's move on. Sorry, AT&T, but you do suck for that. It took like a whole nother like week to get it. So yeah, from April 28th, 2015 and on, that would be the start of the Nightmare animatronics from FNAF 4 and Scribblenauts. Can you believe like how quickly they moved through Five Nights at Freddy's games? And all of these, I could go back to all of them, and they all have over 100K views. The Nightmare Chica was the most viewed individual one at 473,000 is when I took the data plus views or whatever. It's probably got more now, but the Nightmare Chica teaser on the night, I created it on the night that I was seeing this theater show with my wife. My wife is involved in the theater scene, and she did musical theater in her undergrad, but all throughout her life. And so we occasionally got to like catch a show in town. We're not talking about on the scales of like Broadway in New York. No, this is like, your kind of local theater scenes and stuff. But this one was a big one for her, and it's like on the way, that we're going there. I'm seeing this like new teaser was coming out. And so if you remember, or if you like kind of focus on what I just said about like the upload schedule and these sorts of things, like kind of creating an anxiety, like I had to get to stuff first. And in YouTube, it's even more that way now than it was in 2015, which it was this way in 2015. If you're not first, you're last, like the first person doesn't even have to be correct about like news and information. Like that's where journalism is now these days. You'll get the most view potential. It's not a guarantee, but like the most potential at views if you're first to the scene. And so Scott Cawthon, who made Five Nights at Freddy's, just drops a Nightmare Chica teaser on that night that I was going to see the theater show. And so the whole time I'm at this show, and I should be enjoying it. I should be enjoying life. Can you believe this? Like, this is what creators deal with, especially if they get to a big size, and I was getting success, right? So like I was dealing with this situation where I should be enjoying my life, and I'm with my wife. Nothing is more important than her, right? So like that's just whack of me. And like she was even, she knew I was upset. I was like verbalizing that to her. I was just like, man, I gotta get back. We gotta get back as soon as possible. Like right when this leaves, let's go. Like let's not talk to people. And I've never been this kind of person, you know what I mean? Like I'm never that kind of person. That I am was like changing this like level of like patience and just goodness of life overall. Like I think YouTube was like giving me this drive to just like push everybody else aside to get out the video if I needed to. And that's not the way. It's not the way to go. Am I right? But I should say that was a thing. She was even like talking to one of her like theater colleagues / friends and was just like, we have to go. She didn't want to be rude to him, so she was like trying to explain why she was leaving the conversation so fast. And she was like, we have to go. He's like, and she pointed to me and she said, he's like a big YouTuber and he has to do a video and stuff. And I was like, I don't like it when she says that. I don't want to call attention to it because like I was doing it, but like I was embarrassed that I was like doing that, right? Like I was embarrassed that I was like, we gotta go. We gotta like go as quick as possible and leave this show as soon as we can and stuff. Like I knew what I was doing was not the right way to go about life. But like, I also know that like if I wasn't, uploading content within the first like 6 hours of an announcement, I'd hear about it from, hundreds of thousands of kids who watched these series. So like, you see how this is like an unhealthy way of being. It's unfortunate, right? I know Shambler was in the chat. He's with family right now, so he won't hear this in real time, but he's a Splatoon kind of guy. Anybody else Splatoon, you guys? The first game, Splatoon 1, you could say. The global test fire kicked off in May of 2015, and my wife actually had some friends in town, so this is kind of fitting that same theme of like real life clashing with YouTube life, okay? And so the test fire was at something like 11 or 10 p.m. my time, but like my wife's friends were in town. One of them, she would then become like the maid of honor at this girl's wedding. Like it was it's like her best friend, right, from like childhood, and then her soon-to-be husband. We didn't know at the time, but like since they were in town, we went to go eat with them at they were staying at like this hotel that had like a bar / restaurant thing down below. So that's where we went, right? And I knew that the test fire was coming up. So like I had to be back for that, right? Like I wanted to do videos on it and stuff. And so like we did get to go and like eat and be with those friends. Okay. So like we did all that like real life stuff, right? At least I thought, but like, the friend's husband, so my wife's friend's husband, okay, this guy has not been nice to me. I have a rough history with this person. He was a drink pusher on me in 2014. I'm not really a big drinker. I have drank alcohol before and stuff, like, you know, I just, it's not a big part of my life, you know. I don't even do it like monthly or something. I'm just saying that like the only time that I've ever thrown up because of drinking was because of this guy. And so this guy that was with my wife's best friend, he was like pushing drinks on me in the summer of 2014 and just like buying them on my tab, which I didn't know. Like, you know, like he was like coming out with more and more and just like kept giving them to me. And so I was like, all right, I'll just like drink them and stuff. And I was very new to drinking at that time. So like that was the only time I've ever thrown up because I drank. I still remembered everything too. Like I remember that day and night very well. So, you know, I've never had like a blackout drunk kind of like moment and stuff. So that was, you know, this person just, he did not treat me well at all. And he was the type, like I order girly drinks, right? So like I got like a cherry vodka drink or something. And he was like, oh, what, you forget your tampon at home? You know, he's just like one of those kinds of guys. So he evidently was talking a lot of ish about that night when I had to go do the Splatoon test fire. He was talking all types of ish about me, you know, like, God, that was so rude that he like left and stuff like that. But I was with them for like 2.5 hours or something. Like we were with them plenty of time. You know what I'm saying? So you can see what kind of crazy it is, like to have this YouTube channel that you care so much about, and then this like trying to have a real life. You know what I mean? But okay, so you see me on rollers a lot in those early days of Splatoon. That is a good starter weapon, so like I don't necessarily knock me, but man, it's so weird. Like I would never play with a roller nowadays willingly. But yeah, this was also like a trend now where whenever I would do something that was not Scribblenauts on YouTube, there were Scribblenauts related comments. So, you know, on non-Scribblenauts videos, it's like there was one person on that Splatoon test fire, let's say, for example, and he said, you know, it was something like this, like, check scottgames.com and then make it Scribblenauts slave. Like he wrote that in all caps, like Scribblenauts slave. You know, and like someone like commented about the song in the outro of that Splatoon video and whatnot, and then like I was like, oh cool, like here's a not Scribblenauts comment, right? So like I'm gonna respond so happy and stuff, and then they like replied to that after that and said, are you ever gonna make another video doing commentary with a subscriber? Because I'm just saying, like I would do that. So I was like, okay, this is good. They didn't ask about Scribblenauts, but they did like ask to be in my videos. But yeah, that person did end up being pretty cool, though. It was Danzo, who I don't believe we'll ever hear from again. I hope we would, but Danzo_175, now PersonMan2454. But yeah, it's just funny because, like, some people will be talking about, like, one thing, like, what's the song that you use for your outro, which is my own music. I would use my own music. And then it's just like, hey, can I be in one of your videos? You know, like, that's just kind of what I was dealing with, right? But I don't even know if I mentioned it. I think I did, but Master Albert, did I mention him in the previous podcast? That's the question. But in that previous commentary podcast, I think I did. But let me set up this story here, okay? Hopefully. I hope I don't lose all of my train of thought. But yeah, like, it was like April or May of 2015, and CK, the Crimson Knight of the Task Force 5, also the best man at my wedding, a friend from college and all that, I knew that CK was going to be coming to visit me. He was going to stay with me and actually celebrate that I was soon to be leaving my full-time job, you guys. It was very soon to come. And so we were playing Smash Brothers for Wii U with the task force, with me and CK in the same room, being able to just, we would go online and play some Smash Brothers with like Steph and Jomo Doe, and I think Wally was with us. But as we were battling, you can hear it in like the Task Force 5 videos. They're on that channel now, but like it kind of references this, think about Frozen, like Let It Go, the song, I was singing as like Master Albert, this character, they explode. They explode. It was kind of like this. Master Albert's like a nerd kid that I made up that plays Minecraft, and he's perpetually 9 years old and annoying and stuff like that. But yeah, like, it's just kind of these fun times that I can remember. And like, this would so bring back anybody that watched it, but maybe to you guys, if you didn't watch this stuff, you're like, what is he talking about? But yeah, it's just like, I was just so happy-go-lucky, and it was like, it was a good time during these months right here. Because like I was like, yes, I'm leaving my job. I'm going to do YouTube, you guys. We filmed a birthday video for Jomo Doe. I was doing birthday raps. I mentioned that in the 2013 podcast. And the last, I think the last one was in 2013. It was that or 14. The very last one. That's also where the sub alert when you subscribe to me on Twitch comes from. The We All Stand as One chant, that's where that comes from, was that final birthday rap. But then I brought myself out of birthday raps retirement and did one for Jomo Doe, because that was the one person who I thought, okay, I can break my retirement streak for that. But it was not a public video. We just did this for fun for her. And so that was like my 2 or 3 weeks ever of my life that I played Minecraft, and I never again did I play Minecraft. But yeah, we were playing Smash, we were playing a little Minecraft, but yeah, we filmed her this video and I did a rap. It was good times. But my work, so that full-time job that I was at, like I said, I had finally revealed to them that I was leaving. I had told my manager kind of well before that, but then she said like keep it secret from the other people that were working with us. And I had a coworker, her name is Janelle. I don't think that's enough, like that's not like doxing or something, right? Like, Janelle was so cool. Janelle was someone that came on in 2015, like really early, like probably January or something, because we had someone else that left, so we needed to fill her spot, right? She was so cool, and like, her and I just kind of got each other in the work world, that we both understood what that office was like and how it was like an open office, and that our manager was like super micromanagey and kind of unrealistic with it. And so like it was a little bit like sad to be leaving someone like that who was really cool, but I already had it set that I was leaving, right? I just couldn't tell her, I couldn't tell the other guy that was there. And so then we revealed it, right? So you got to think this was like May or something like that of 2015. And so my work, our little group, went to go see Avengers Age of Ultron. They took us on their dime to go see the movie. That's when this was coming out. You guys remember that? Age of Ultron, such a great Avengers movie, you guys. It was one of my favorites. But it was finally revealed that I was leaving. And so we all got to do that. It was really cool. And this is really fascinating. Okay, so I hope that you guys believe in this. Please bear with me here if this is weird to you, okay? But I knew that I was going to be making this move out of the full-time job into the full-time YouTube, and I had always heard about hypnotherapy, okay? So hypnotism. And so I had some issues, but like I just knew that I've been battling with a lifelong self-esteem issues. My self-confidence not very good and stuff, and so I found somebody in town through just research, Google, and I'm going to shout her out. She's not here anymore. I'm so sorry. We are going to cut the burps and stuff out of editing. But yeah, shout out to her. Her name is Melissa Clough. You can find videos, actually, of her practice on YouTube. But I am a student of Melissa Clough, you could say, or like a client and stuff back in those days, because I decided to go in for some hypnotism for success, we could call it. That's not what she called it, but she just did like hypnotherapy, right? But I kind of like asked her, is there just some kind of way that you can like help me with my self-esteem? And here's like the move that I'm about to make and like become self-employed and all this. And she totally said like, yeah. And so like it really became apparent like what my core limiting belief was. Like I kind of always knew this was here, but like it was just that I'm not good enough. Like that was what I could put into words when I went to go see her for hypnotherapy. I did about 6 sessions, I think. And that was like $600. It ain't no cheap ordeal, but I had my YouTube revenue with my office revenue that I was leaving as like, that was the first time I like felt like I financially could do stuff like this, you know, and like take care of myself or like do something that was a treat for myself like that. That wasn't fast food, because fast food and good tasting food that's bad for my health is always my go-to. That's my self-care, which is really not, right? But yeah, I did hypnotherapy with her, and that was something she kind of like studied with me, was just like, you know, we're going to figure out kind of what your core limiting belief is, which is obviously a belief that is limiting you from success, right? That's what it sounds like. And so it was just, I'm not good enough. Like I put it into words finally, and that was how I felt my whole life. Every single thing that I do, if I want to start a YouTube channel, I'm not good enough. If I got like an A in school, I'm not good enough. You know, it's like no matter what. But I was. And I am. You know what I mean? Like, I cannot believe that I tell myself this, and I do still to this day. I think you guys know that. Like, so yeah, it's like a bad topic. I don't like this, you know. It really makes me sad. But very good that I went to hypnotherapy to work on myself and that, especially before trying to jump into YouTube self-employment, sole proprietorship, something that I do need to have confidence for, or at least feel like I'm set up for success. You know, that's what I wanted. But yeah, other Scribblenauts creations that did awesome in like the 80K, 40K views, I can tell, just like boom. We did Scribblenauts Steven Universe, you guys. Those creations on June 7th. The video did 660,000 plus views to this day. Like, amazing. That's a non-FNAF franchise. Again, like Gravity Falls. And Steven from Steven Universe. Some people said he had a beard. You know, they're like, why'd you make Steven with a beard? And no, it was because I used a pear, like the fruit, a pear in Scribblenauts Unlimited. It had this like shading where it would have this kind of shadow on that part of where it landed. And so yeah, people were like, why'd you make him with a beard? But otherwise it was good. You guys, this is crazy because we're about to get into something amazing. But June 14th was Plants vs. Zombies Day Plants, and that's like over 1 million views now. It's like crazy how much that succeeded. Definitely also another top 5 in the creations of my video preferences from that year at least. But at this time also, that was when I left the job, and it coincided with E3 2015. You guys, this was where Necessary Gaming stopped doing the video game like journalism, the articles and stuff, and news article writing. So that shut down, but they said, hey, our sister website, or like a companion website essentially, is Bago Games. It looks like Bag-O Games. I'm assuming Bago Games is still around. I don't know. I am so far removed from Bago, but like they transitioned every article we wrote onto Bago Games and just said like, hey, you're essentially now video game journalists with Bago, but you're content creators with Necessary Gaming. And that was fine because Bago Games was what we registered with me and Bunny Pop Pop. He's from the United Kingdom. Bunny Pop Pop was a creator and kind of like more of the big wigs at Necessary Gaming, had some like upper level roles or whatever within Necessary Gaming. But yeah, you think like June 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, those would be the E3 days of 2015. But I arrived on the evening of June 15th, and so I had left my job, that office job, the Friday before that, which was like the 12th. And what's funny is like on the day that I left, my manager left early that day. It's so ironic, you know, the person that would micromanage me and my hours, if I took like a 5-minute break, ask me, where were you? You know, like ask me about breaks that took too long, or like make comments like that and stuff. She leaves early. I don't know what she had to do, you know, it's not my business. But anyway, like she left early on my last day at the job. Like, Isn't that just so ironic? But hey, Mr. Elefante, shout out to him. I know that he listened to the podcast where I talked about going to E3 the first time, which was 2013, a dream that I had. Never thought that I would go once, but to go twice? Crazy, you guys. I told my mom when she was alive so much about E3. I want to go to E3, Mom. I so want to go, but I'm never going to be able to. It's just for industry only. Blammo, I would become industry, you guys. I didn't mention this actually about being media at PAX South, but like back in January when I did that PAX South, it was funny because I met up with some guys in the McDonald's like the first night. I left it was the first night because the after party I think was later than the McDonald's. So yeah, it was like before the after party of Gigantic that I mentioned earlier. But yeah, I ran into these two guys that I could see were at PAX South because they had the drip, you have the name tag and stuff. And then they were like, oh, hey, what's your name? And then they go, oh, media. Because they were like, they saw that I had a media badge because it had my name, said media. And they were like, oh, cool. And so they like treated me like some celebrity or whatever. And I had told them that I also did a YouTube channel. So it was like kind of cool to like tell these two guys from Missouri City, like you say somewhere in Missouri, I guess is where they were. I can't remember. It might have been Kansas City, Missouri. But like, anyway. Yeah, I just thought that I shouldn't let that pass up maybe because they were like, I even told them about Master Albert, these like complete strangers that you just like make friends with at conventions and stuff. But when we were at E3, this would go a little bit differently. So I think of it overall as more positive, but it wasn't like in E3 of 2013. You also got to think about the landscape of 2015 and what was happening. But like, so Mr. Elefante, as I said, picked me up. He's a local, in California, and I was feeling really sick. So this was kind of new-ish. When I was a kid, I would get like car sick. I had some like kind of weak stomach issues maybe, but on the plane to E3, I got like sick feeling. Like, I just felt so car sicky, dude. If you've had like motion sickness, car sickness, but on a plane, oi. I would later find out that Dramamine is a great friend of mine for all other airplane rides, but I wouldn't find that out till a year later. That's actually going to be on the podcast next time. But yeah, I got so sick. I was on JetBlue, which was kind of new at the time, a little bit, a few years, but I was on JetBlue and I think I was just looking at the screens and watching their like TVs in the back of the seats and getting motion sickness and stuff. Blah, God. So I felt terrible, dude. And like I made Mr. Elefante and I had to like double back to go pick up Bunny Pop because he came in later, dude. Oh, there was so much stuff wrong with his plane. He got in like way later than he wanted to. But yeah, I kept making all these excuses. I'd be like, dude, I need to go to the bathroom. Like I kept saying, like, I'm just going to get some fresh air. And like, I'd get out of his car and be like, like I just felt, so bad. So bad. But yeah, like I said, we picked up Bunny Pop, who came to the States from the United Kingdom, and he didn't bring a laptop. This was kind of messed up because it kind of got in my way, but like, let's say something cool. So something cool was that I was queued up for Star Fox Zero on the Wii U. There was like a full like Wii U demo. The video that I did of that is like sitting around 4,000, 5,000 views right now, and it was like awesome. But here's kind of like an interesting personal touch and story to it. You can see that there's like they used to call them booth babes at that time, which is like so gets kind of cringe when you think about it. Like I hope our society has kind of like moved forward a little bit, but they are brand ambassadors, okay? So, but basically beautiful women is kind of like when they would call them booth babes and stuff at E3. They used to like say this, it'd be like coverage of E3 and they're like, oh, check out the booth babes at the Nintendo booth, and stuff like that, like trying to be like cool on Spike TV or whatever, G4 TV and stuff. But the brand ambassador attendant with Star Fox Zero, she was like kind of close to me and like, it's so sad, they tell them like, honey, I gotta flirt with the men and stuff like that, like they gotta like tell them to like do all these things that, again, I don't think happen nowadays. I imagine we've come forward with this, but yeah, like you can even kind of see it in the video a little bit. She starts off like kind of close to me and like super smiley, and like I had mentioned that like I was never ever mean or anything like that, but like I just like kind of casually mentioned it, like like my wife and I love playing Wii U, so like I was trying to like put her at ease, essentially. And so it was good because like in the video, you kind of just like see us like have a normal distance apart, and like she's cheering me on and stuff like that. And I was like very early to play Star Fox. Like that was the game I wanted to play that year for sure. That was like on my tops, and so it was the first thing I did at E3 2015 when it opened up on the show floor. But yeah, she was so nice to me, and so like I think that's all you have to do. I mean, if this is a guide to anyone who wants to know how to kind of put a brand ambassador at ease if they feel like they have to be flirty but they don't, you know, it's just like, just be very casual and like nice about it and stuff. And I just said like, my wife and I love the Wii U. Oh my gosh, like I'm so excited about this game and stuff, and just kind of be like normal, not like hello, you know. Yeah, hopefully this is not a cringe part of the podcast, but she like straight up just like applauds at the end because there's this part that I do where I just like killed it. Dude, that game is so hard to control. If anybody played Star Fox on Wii U, like a lot of it was the gamepad, but it had this like motion controller part with the gamepad. It was very finicky, especially if you first picked it up like I did. No one had ever played this before, right? So very finicky, and like I just did this last part of it, of the demo, like so just killer. Boom, easy. It was awesome, man. And so she just straight up clapped for me and was like, you guys are gonna have to work hard to beat that, you know, like she was so building me up. It was nice. But oh my gosh, just like every night, Bunny Pop, my kind of co-E3 worker, was trying to use my laptop, but I needed it to write the articles for Bago Games, right? I could bang out an article in like 30 minutes or less, dude. And Bunny would take like 3-4 hours to write one. And I was just like, man, why doesn't he have his iPad and his laptop iPad? But yeah, that made it very rough. And then I think his name is Trevor, but like the dude that heads up Bago Games was like kind of bitching at me. You know, he was like, you've uploaded all these videos to your channel, you know, and so you're gonna get like 1 million eyes on it, whereas like, you know, he said like you've uploaded 1 million videos, that's what he said, to your channel, and done like 3 articles. And I was like, whoa, dude, like let's, you know, we want to take the gloves off here. Like Bunny didn't bring a laptop, so like I'm letting him use mine, and it takes him like 3-4 hours to do it, you know, so that's like way inhibiting. Like what time do I have to write articles when E3 goes on until like 6 or 7 p.m. and then you go to eat because you haven't eaten all day unless you paid like $10 for one hot dog at E3 show floor. And Bunny Pop also wants to experience the American cuisine for the first time, pizza and burgers and other stuff, you know, so it's just like, what time did I have to write? And I still wrote like 3 articles while I was there, and I was still set to write articles when I came home, right? But I was already banging out the articles. I just had to let Bunny use my laptop. But yeah, he was like upset that I was like uploading videos to my channel and like not doing stuff for Bago. I was like, whoa, dude. Like, I can't believe he was chewing me out, man. But you gotta imagine that year of 2015 E3, like lots of other game footage that I put on the channel, but games from Nintendo like Zelda, Triforce Heroes, Ratchet and Clank was a non-Nintendo one. I remember that was Mario Tennis, Ultra Smash. That game came out. But yeah, this was exciting. This will never happen to me again, I think, but also had never happened to me before. I had so much money saved up from my job and my YouTube all at the same time, and I had just left them, so this probably wasn't a smart idea, but I flew home first class, you guys. I have never ridden first class in an airplane, but I feel so privileged to have been able to do so. I had never done it, and again, never again, probably. That is kind of a waste. Some people may want to like justify paying that much money to like sit up front, and like they do serve food, so like that's nice, I guess. But like, I don't know, they kind of like come and talk to you a lot when you're in first class, you know. Like sometimes I just want to be left alone, you know. But hey, I did a first class. It was crazy. Never before, never again. But hey, it was cool. Coming home from E3 in June, you know, we hit the ground running, and we'll be taking a break here pretty soon. If you're, you know, watching the podcast live and stuff, I'll come talk to you in the chat, and I have an announcement coming up very soon, so I hope you guys are ready for that. But yeah, Ultron and Scribblenauts, Jurassic World, Indominus Rex. That was a huge video, dude. The Inside Out characters. You guys know that they're coming out with Inside Out 2, that Pixar movie, or is that Disney? Disney Pixar? Why can't I think? I guess Disney and Pixar. Founders Month, though, there was the Founders Month song on July 1st, and it's called The Path I'm On. I'll edit some of that here in the produced version, but I even mentioned in that video we started doing songs for all the Founders Month from then on, so like it kind of created this like trend. But I showed like that this was like I said in my 3 years of doing YouTube, this was the best year, and I showed off all these comments. Like some of you guys know Smash Killer. I showed off some comments from Smash Killer, the only subscriber who came to me through YouTube and has been there the entire time. He's been through every single step that I've done in my career. But there was also this comment that I put up that was just funny. Like, this was just literally to be funny. I wasn't upset, okay? But like, I put up someone's comment that it wrote this. So, quote, "I am a derpy Laska Pope." To which I replied, "Sounds great. Wash your hands." Sounds great, ... wash your hands. And I remember Steph just thinking that was so funny, but like, I don't know what they were trying to say. I am a derpy Laska Pope. Sounds great, wash your hands. So like, I have all these comments like flashing on screen that are like, "You're so cool, I love your channel, support, and then just derpy Laska Pope. The comments on that video though, on YouTube, like so positive, so loving, and they often noted two things, which we gotta say. How close that we were to 100K subscribers, you guys. Can you believe that? That is crazy. And someone said there was like one dislike, which you could see at the time. There was like 4 or 5 people from Miiverse that were subscribed to me who just like disliked everything that I uploaded anyway. So like, it's no big deal, right? But we had July 13th, like Satoru Iwata had just passed on, unfortunately. So Satoru Iwata, you guys. Iwata-san, very, I think, honorable. Someone who we can look up to as a model for C-level business executives. And, you know, he slashed his own salary when the Wii U wasn't doing as well, instead of just laying off the lower, like, people below him, right? He was really cool. I think a lot of you guys may remember Iwata-san from a lot of the Wii U era, especially those videos he would be in, but we created him in Scribblenauts. It was my honor to do so, but man, we honored him with his little like Smash Brothers Me character that he showed off and stuff. We made that in Scribblenauts. Rest in peace. FNAF 4 trailer characters. To this day, FNAF is, you know, still king. But Steven Universe Homeworld Gyms, that was a good one. Views not too bad, like 500,000 right now. FNAF 4 redesigns, 500,000 almost. Like, and I did the occasional I Am Bread live stream. Splatoon Splatfest, you guys. Splatoon had come out. There was Splatfests like water slides versus roller coasters. I was on Team Water Slides, you guys. I hate roller coasters. Hyrule Warriors gameplay I was doing, you know, the videos, just those over the summer. And some of those ranged like 1K to 4K to this day. But here we go, you guys. Before we take a break, listen up. Zoom in. You can't do that. Do it in editing. Spectacle. So I had this song. There was an outro to the Scribblenauts series that I had no idea you guys would love and adopt, as like you loved this song just from the chorus of Spectacle. That was my song that I wrote in like 2009 on an album called They Like Me Not. Should be on Spotify as we talk. But the announcement is coming closer, okay, you guys? Get ready. I think many people knew the lyrics maybe at that point, since I had them in like some videos, not the lyrics, but like I had the full song in some videos. Maybe they hadn't heard the exact full thing, or maybe they just wanted to see them all. So I did a lyrics video for 100,000 subscribers. Can you believe it? Dr. Kendo reaching 100,000 subscribers. That's crazy. And there was even this little kid, somebody uploaded themselves, and it said Chubbs Chubbs, Chubbs dancing to spectacle. Dude, little kid named Chubbs put on spectacle and was dancing, yeah, to my song in the background, dude. I had no idea that this song would be a hit. No idea what would come. Speaking of what's to come, let's take a break, but also make this announcement, you guys. I'm going to come to the live stream chat and say hi to you right after you see this announcement. Bum, bum, bum. Drum roll, please. Let me go ahead and mute my mic and all of that. Here we go. Pending. I'm Dr. Kendo of the Dr. Kendo commentaries, and Pokemon Master Kendo channels.
Yeah, I came to splat and to do the job, and you stay fresh until cut fire.
There has been so much music across the many years of these channels.
Well, look for a fine while the digs had a little bit of twilight through and have a kid in the middle. Knick, knack, and flack a hair until the buns are brittle. Thank God for the harvest moon.
Shouldn't there just be one place for all of that to exist?
From aspiration, hardwood, and on a deer track, the grand treat of true life, and I bring it all back. I'll make room for two.
That is this channel.
Watch the blossoms fall in Arcadia.
Thanks for listening.
And sit down the road of twists and turns, always anxious to see what's within. We can look ahead to the point of no return, to the rest of our lives as a spectacle begin.
Okay, you guys, what's up? I'm gonna stop recording for a second. Whew, give myself a breather. But yeah, there it is. I'm gonna be a little bit quiet right now just to help my voice while I say hi to you guys. Back to Zero, thanks for the Spotify. We got an in 10. Thank you, he said hi, Kendo. Yeah, Smash Killer. Man, Smash came in. Let's see. Splatoon was sick. He said hydrate, Dr. K. Yeah, I haven't hydrated you guys. Let's see. Yeah, back to Zero. Salvage. I'm going through the comments. Hold on. Okay. Ninten gave me a heart. Thank you. Said, let's hear you out, dude. Back to Zero said, I'm here. Let's go. So again, I'm going to be a little bit quiet. Just trying to preserve, okay? People say Infinity War was the biggest crossover, Kampfvogel. Michael said, this stream's going to be a dub. Dude, Michael, much love, much love. Shambler said, you're awesome. You are so awesome. Thank you. Ninten said, headbanging. Michael said, song name? It's actually doesn't have a name other than the Kendocast podcast theme, really. It doesn't have one. I would probably call it Bring 'Em On Down, but I made it. Ana Mireya came in. And yes, back to Zero. Chain's Awesome Games disbanded. They're no longer with us. But yeah, back to Zero is right. It was Salvage was the animatronic. You remembered him as Uber in our Smash Brothers days, Nintendo. Yeah, Ubers. I'm just reading all y'all's chats. Lisa said he's done so many cool things, many more to come. Gravity Falls, cool show. You know that one? 6 years writing that, highly unlikely. Yeah, Lisa, I don't know. It's just, they could have written that, but I don't know why the dad would be like, shut the fuck up, she's 6. It's like, dude, good luck to that kid, right? Yeah, Smash Killer dropped in, said, much love, everyone. Much love, Dr. K. Hydrate. Splatoon was sick. Nintendo said, I didn't get Splatoon till the sequel, really? Okay. Galaxy came up in here. I don't know if Galaxy's still here. If you are, I said, hope y'all are doing good. Yeah, hope you're doing great. Thank you. Possibly you threw up due to discomfort, which is why I never encourage or push people to drink. Yeah, Nintendo, it was the person, he pushed something like 9 drinks on me. I've never drank that much, you know? I am a lightweight. Like, I can have 1 or 2 drinks and I'm already just like a goof. In a good way. It goes well. But, Lisa said, great to hear. Hope mom's good too. Yes, of course. I do hope mom's good, Smash. They're working out some issues with mom shaking. Yeah, she doesn't give up. Gotcha. Yeah, Smash Killer said, you were so stoked back then, Dr. K. Yeah, I was. It was a good time. Said, you've been working on yourself for ages, so it's okay to talk about the not so good stuff as well. I gotcha. Nintendo said E3 2015, something that influenced me. What happened? What happened? I have zoomies, yes. Okay, I think I'm catching up. Back to Zero said easy sub. Thank you, dude. Hey, Jojo Ninja's up in here. Jojo Ninja likes the music, right? I just announced you guys that there's another channel, and I don't have to do too much work on it, right? Because I know that's the first thing Lisa would say is like, you're making another channel? It's just literally going to it's going to upload only the songs. So we're going to only have the music of Dr. Kendo's history. I know like sometimes Smart Socks has been like, these shiny parodies are dope, you know, like I want to listen to them all and stuff. And so like you're going to have a place to have them all in like one place and do it as a playlist. Michael said, I have to buy. Michael, we love you. Thank you. Thank you. See, you guys, I think the only thing I should say is that I think the pacing of this one is a little bit more slow. And so, like, I think I'm talking about too much stuff. So I'm going to try to be more, like, to the point and stuff as we, like, do the last half of the stream. It may not even be half. It might be more like 40%. But, yeah, Lisa was like, love it. Can't wait to have that one playing in the background. That's the thing, Lisa, is you'll be able to just listen to all the music. So right now we just have the Pikmin 4, like, parody songs and stuff. But you'll be able to have the whole thing because just like over the next few weeks or so, I'll just be uploading everything I've ever done that's like music related on the channels, and then maybe just some of my like original Dr. Kendo songs. You know, some people don't want to listen on Spotify. You know, maybe they use YouTube, but then Spotify will still be an option. You know, so I'm just having another platform for all of that. And none of them are going to be like music videos where I have to edit, you know, like every single frame like I used to. It's going to be more like what you see right now on the channel with the Pikmin. Like, it's just going to be kind of like this one image, you know, kind of cool. It's like those like album music videos where it's just like a picture of the album cover and stuff. But yeah, I'm going to drink some tea and some water, and I'm going to make sure that my voice is okay. So excuse me. I'm so sorry. Don't want you guys to have to listen to sounds of drinking. I've got some tea here. It's cold. Uber Blitz. Back to zero. So I'm gonna grab a cup myself. But Nintendo did say, never been to E3. I've wanted to go. RIP E3. Yes, it's gone now. But it was the one where they started to announce Project NX. Yeah, wow. You remember everyone was saying that it was going to be all of these things, and then the reveal trailer came out as a Nintendo fan at the time. Yeah. Nintendo will come back. Yeah, I thought so too. Doc, one thing that sticks out to me is how sad it is that we don't give ourselves the grace to get help easier and easier. We deserve it. You are such a remarkable, incredibly talented person. Never doubt that. Yeah, Lisa, that's really interesting. I don't know. I don't know. I've never had grace with myself, so it's like so hard. It's like, man, I should. I think it's getting a little better, actually. It might actually be like a little bit better. So I've got I've just got 2 pages left, you guys. So if you imagine when we are on the podcast, we talk about it per month as a topic, and we're on August. So obviously the year ends in December. So that's going to tell you where we'll end. So that's about how much is left. So these may not be like half and half, like I said. It may be like we're doing about 35% here. So I'm going to get ready. Got to make sure I turn back on all the recording stuff because I turned it off. So thank you guys for being here. Like, it's seriously, I know I used to be so upset by like when my view numbers would get low and someone would say something about it or whatever. And finally, like, people have stopped saying it. And I too have also gotten to the point where I'm a little bit better about it. Just trying to loosen up the neck. So I feel a lot better about it. And what that makes me do is obviously enjoy like my emotional life a little bit better. It's like a little bit healthier. But it also makes me think about I'm like sitting here talking in a room with you guys rather than like trying to talk to an audience, right? Instead, I'm like with people who are ride or die. I'm like with my friends, you know? And so I've been doing such a like great job of just like letting all that go. Whew, it feels so good. And so like you guys being here, you are the elites. So I'm going to take one more drink of stuff and then let's get back to it, okay? I love you so much. I hope that announcement was worth it. I hope so. And it's okay if that channel gets like 10 subscribers in its whole life, it's okay. It's just a place for all the songs. I might use it, you know, to listen to my own shit sometimes. All right, let's do this. Might actually need more water. Like, I don't need to go get it. I just need to take a swig. Okay, so I will no longer be in the chat, you guys. Here we go. After this. Three, two, and... So we are back. Yes, the announcement is that there is a Dr. Kendo music channel, and it's literally called Dr. Kendo Music. Can you believe that? I hope you can. But, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about 2015, the podcast, and so one of my most top 10 favoriteest Scribblenauts episodes ever to do in my life. Ever. So not just 2015, but ever was with the Task Force 5, some of my best friends at that time, the Teen Titans. Yeah, anybody watch that show? I didn't watch it when I was a kid or anything, or when I was younger. I guess I think that show came out later than when I was a kid, probably. But anyway, I never watched it when it was first coming out, but I watched it online with the Task Force, and they said, you know, we're kind of like the Teen Titans. And so we actually talk about this in that commentary where I was creating them in Scribblenauts, but this was like a time where I did a special episode, and I'm like the Robin, you know, of Teen Titans. Steph of Anime is like Starfire, Jomo Doe Raven, CK Beast Boy, Wally Win, Cyborg. You guys, what's crazy is when you go back and hear this, CK wasn't even on the call with us, but it sounds like he is. And I will tell you the one giveaway is that there's a little bit of computer noises, and I think it might have been from Steph, but it could have also been from me. Just everybody, like having everybody but CK in the call. So like 4 people's computers all running while we were on a call together, you can hear. And then whenever it cuts to CK coming into the commentary, it gets a little bit quieter with the white noise and the computer hum. So if you go back and listen to that, or I will insert that into the produced version of this. But yeah, CK wasn't on the call with us because he got a new job, and he wasn't able to make the call when we did the first one. And so like he and I did sort of a like second run at it, and he even said like, yeah, I'll just do some like laughs and some, oh yeah, like some reactions and stuff, and splice them in, you know? So we like literally spliced him in. So there's a part where like everyone's laughing on the call, and then you hear CK like, ha ha ha, you know, and like we spliced him in, you know? So like make him sound like he's on the call. So yeah, I just totally revealed the secret. But yeah, you guys, I Am Bread was a pretty new game, relatively. I mean, not like brand new, but kind of new at this time. When my birthday came around, you guys, August 22nd. So in 2015, I announced this like birthday live stream. I set it up with a Scribblenauts like little skit or whatever, and I created Bread Man. That was my superhero name of the bread in I Am Bread. I'm Bread Man, and I even made like a musical theme to it. Maybe that's something that should be in the Dr. Kendo music channel that I just announced. So yes, Dr. Kendo music is live now. YouTube.com/DrKendoMusic. You guys, the energy levels were crazy. They were off the hook. Dude, it must have been nice for me being younger. But I will tell you, it was that birthday and all subsequent birthdays. Anybody who's old with me in the chat is going to know what I'm talking about when I say this, but I started to feel new things. Like I was just like, oh, I'm feeling physically just down. You know, I was just sort of slogging through. But yet, it looks like I had so much energy on that birthday live stream. But there was somebody in there, you know, I don't even like I Am Bread, but I'll show up for you. I just had support. You know what I mean? So it was nice. While I had the negativity and while I had this influx of new audience and viewers and stuff, like, that was great. And to have that experience is great. You know, it came with the negative. But look at that. There's some positive. Like, there absolutely was. And so I want to make sure that I don't lose track of stuff like that. But yeah, probably top 25 creations ever of all times that I did in Scribblenauts was Malachite, you guys. August 23rd, the day after my birthday. That was a triple object, meaning, remember when I was talking about creating heads and bodies separately? I started doing that regularly now. So at this point, we are doing that for just about every creation that we do. Think about how much work I was already doing in life, right? Now, double it for the Scribblenauts, right? So every character, we'd create one object. Well, now we're creating two. Malachite's case 3, because we had to make her hair separate. Dude. Triple object. It was so accurate, though, to the real Malachite, man. 221,000 views or something like that up until this point. Dude, look at all these hits. 2015, we are rolling, and I have 100,000 subscribers. Life is good. I left my job. I'm doing YouTube full time. Again, that would not go well. Okay? That does not end well at all, and it does not last very long at all. I'm still grateful that I got the one true shot at that. And the title of this podcast? Okay. Optimus Prime, you guys, in Scribblenauts Unlimited, August 28th. That was like really soon before the Team Autobots versus Team Decepticons Splatoon 2 Splatfest, I think, unless that was 1, but... There was also like Team Marshmallow, who beats the Team Hot Dogs in the Splatoon Fest, and I was Team Marshmallow. I was stacking some wins there on Splatfest, just like now with Splatoon 3 Splatfest. Team Drums, where you guys at for the upcoming fest as I record this? But yeah, my wife, you know, she graduated in the summer. Whenever you do, that's in like May, right? You graduate like late May usually when you do the spring semester and stuff. Okay, so... she got a job working for the state government here. I can't talk too much more about that just because, hey, she doesn't work there anymore, but I'm just saying I want to leave that to be like sensitive and obviously only reveal certain things. Like I said, I'm a guarded open book. But yeah, she got a job working for the state here in Texas, but we were playing Crazy Taxi 2. It's just a game we both knew, and I wanted to do something fun for our anniversary, and, like, she had a new job, so, like, we were just kind of doing this hilarious, like, cool new video together, because, again, I didn't always have her in my videos, but sometimes, yeah. So Mrs. Kendo and I playing Crazy Taxi 2 after her first week at the job. It was hilarious. It wasn't, like, widely adopted, but, you know, it was just having fun. And this was a time on YouTube of, like, having some fun, even though I was nose to the grind, right? There is one moment in it, and it's, like, right in the intro of the second Crazy Taxi 2 episode. There was 2 videos only that we did of it. But I was like, no, stop, pick up this person. It's Donald Trump. Because, yes, Donald J. Trump, love him or hate him, announced a presidential bid, I guess, around this time. You got to think, summer 2015 or whatever. And he said, I am running for president. And, you know, so he was like on everybody's minds. And so I just saw this strange orange-looking Crazy Taxi dude with a tie and a suit. And, you know, I was like, get this person, because I was like stopping too quick. And I was like, it's Donald Trump. And my wife just starts laughing. And then she like specifies, this is just a funny moment in the video. She was like, I just want to note that I do not publicly endorse any candidate because of my job. You know, she like had to be all careful because she was working for the state. So we had our anniversary on September 1st. That's when we got married, you guys. September 1st, 2012. And We had like a weekend in San Antonio, Texas. I was on like her and I found a Groupon for the hotel that we stayed at. So like it kind of worked good because it was like a weird time, right? She had like just started a job and I was like now in this self-employment and like we didn't want to do too many risky things yet, like, you know, as in with your money and stuff. Like, so that was a way to like do a kind of cheap anniversary. It was kind of great. We didn't have to fly anywhere, you know, we hop, skip, and a jump kind of drive to it. But I had a scheduled Scribble Knots creation, and this is what I would do essentially for all anniversaries to come and stuff like that. When I knew that something was coming up, we would have one scheduled. You would think, like, if this is your job or something, can't you just take the day off? No, I had to keep working. So Tui Kendo, yes, Tui, my dog that we got after Apple. I've spoken about Apple Kendo in the 2012 and 13 podcasts and all that. The 2012, I guess, and before, but so yeah, I created Tui. So, you know, eventually I'd create just like a lot of my family and stuff, but it was viewed like 1,600 times, you know, on that first day of the uploads, about 6,000 over time. It made like, I think close to $7 up until now. So you think about all those years, right? Like there's not a lot of money in it. So again, sometimes I like to interject with those things just so you guys know like what this looks like. But you remember, I'm not so much a fan of this name anymore, but the project is cool. Every single year we were doing a charity project on September 11th. It was called the September 11th Project. Again, that sounds highly sus, and to the NSA who's spying on this, no, I assure you I had nothing to do with September 11th, okay? Other than we would host a charity basically every single year, September 11th, and this was the best one yet, you guys, in 2015, Sea Turtle Inc. So my wife and I, with our new life situations and stuff, a little bit before this rolled around, we, it's like she graduated. I transitioned to full-time self-employment. She doesn't really have any, like, full-time employment yet, and so we did this thing where you essentially have to pack up and go on a whim to be able to do this, so you kind of do it before you have kids, unless they want to go with you, but Sea Turtle Inc. is on the coast of Texas. You can look them up, and we did a charity for them, like I said, but my wife and I had gone, this was like in late June, I think, where they have sea turtle hatchlings, so a nice big group of turtles is going to hatch, and the little hatchlings have to safely make it to the water, so they have to get into the beach, the ocean, and that's a treacherous thing, if you didn't know that. I'm sure many of you guys do, but you kind of, as spectators, let's say, to the event, also serve as like a human wall that keeps out the predators. So you got to think about birds especially, but anything that could be preying upon a little baby sea turtle. So we went and did that, and again, you like pack up on a whim, and then you go to, you know, this place on the border, and it's not like a sure thing that the hatchlings are even going to come out that day, you know, so like it's very much a gamble. Like we could have driven that like 6 to 8 hours or whatever it took me to get there, and nothing happens. You know what I mean? But we visited Sea Turtle Inc. They have like you could almost call it an aquarium, but like they have a place that the public can go and see the sea turtles that have been rescued and can't be in the ocean, you know. So I showed off some of that in our September 11th charity endeavor that year, and we donated massive, because I always said September 11th Project, we're just going to give all of the channel revenue to whatever the endeavor is. So sea turtles, we saved baby sea turtles, that and the WWF, which was the World Wildlife Fund, not the Wrestling Federation, but the previous year was the WWF, and those were my two favoritist. And so not only did we have the red panda from the WWF, if you guys remember the last podcast, it was Scribble, the red panda, but there were, you know, kind of many like different donation pools that you could give to, so I gave to a ton of them, but one of them was to like name your own hatchling. Of course, it's just for fun, right? Like 1 million people could do it, theoretically, when there's only like 10 turtles, you know? Like it's just a fun thing to do, to give money to name a hatchling. And so I let it be you guys. You guys decided the name on I think it was community tab post, unless I mentioned it at the end of the last Scribble Knots video. But anyway, like as in the lead up to it, I don't know if there was community tab posts at this time. There might have been, but you guys said not. So we had Scribble the Red Panda and then N-A-U-T, Scribble Knots. So Scribble the Red Panda and not the baby sea turtle hatchling, you guys. Good job, Scribble Knots. The Gravity Falls journals came up. Can you believe it? Creating the journals. We're starting to create just like objects rather than like humans and humanoids and creatures and characters, like now inanimate objects, sort of. But FNAF World Adventure animatronics, that was another like favorite adventure animatronics. Some other stuff. We had, this is something that never panned out. Hypno and Pumpkaboo, so the Pokemon. We never used this, but maybe this will show up on Dr. Kendo music. That actually just hit me now. I just realized we could probably use this for that, but I had a parody song that was to be done in a Scribble Ventures, yet there was no Scribble Ventures that has ever come again. Really, there's been shorts of them, so like one-off little shorts, skits, but never a full episode, and so I was going to use it for that, but there was going to be a Pokemon for real parody song of "Is Going Down for Real," you know, "Is Going Down for Real," and so there was a part of it that says like Hypno Pumpkabooya, and so Hypno and Pumpkaboo were part of what I needed to create in Scribble Knots for some of the lyrics to that. So like, yeah, I was just, that's an interesting behind the scenes tidbit for you that you may not get to know until now. But then I also started this other thing because I had more time, right? And I was thinking like, how can we get more content out of this Scribble Knots? This is something you should do. If you have like a YouTube series that's doing really well, figure out how do you keep it going even outside your maybe traditional schedule, or like how do you make it new and fresh? Well, what I would do was the monthly Scribble review. And so monthly Scribble review was literally just where I would like do a minute or two video that talks about and shows briefly the creations of that month. So monthly Scribble review for September mentions the ones that I just mentioned, right? And like shows them with some music and stuff. So, it's a way to get out another video and get all like $2 from that video that it would make in a, decade. But yeah, I thought it was cool. I thought that's a good idea. October 2014 creations, you gotta think. This was like FNAF World animatronics still, kind of that era. There were some memes that finally like got created, so like Sanic and Isaac, and then there was Ouija and Malio. And there was also more Steven Universe, a remake of Mega Man. But then this one was really cool, and this sort of started a trend for me. So here, I'll talk about Minecraft Story Mode. Does anybody even remember that? Like, Minecraft Story Mode, the game. I did episode 141. This was October 25th, 2015, and just like a massive improvement on all of my Minecraft stuff, which we hadn't done too much in between originally creating Minecraft stuff and then now. So like there was kind of a big gap, I felt like. And so I unexpectedly loved this. Like I loved doing it. Loved it. And something that I loved was that I was now able to have time to immerse myself more into the worlds that I created. You have to think about someone who was dealing with the death of his mother and the family stuff that came with that, all those things that I've been mentioning over and over on this podcast when I was working in that office full time, having no time and trying to like have a semblance of life, I couldn't sit there and watch, play, read, like do so much in-depth research about these communities that I was trying to breach into when I was asked to make things from them, right? Oh, make these FNAF animatronics, make these Steven Universe characters, make this, make that. Think about how different these have all been. Gravity Falls, SpongeBob, whatever it may be. I don't know about all of those. I know SpongeBob. I didn't know ish about Steven Universe. Like, I had to learn everything. So yeah, just like what I really liked was having the time finally in my life to sit there and be immersed in these communities, and it felt like when I was first starting YouTube, kind of like really just immersive, experiencing it. I was living it, And so I watched an entire playthrough with no commentary of Minecraft Story Mode and got the whole thing. So man, I could see the effects that this was having on my videos. It was great. If I also think about that time frame, I think that there was like legislation that was going on. I cannot remember what it was. I think it was something in the EU, something in the European Union's region of like legislation that could be scary for YouTube. Again, I don't know what it was, because like in 2011 or 12 when I first started, there was like SOPA and PIPA. If you don't know those bills, don't even worry about it. It's just stuff that seemed like, oh, is our YouTube gonna end? You don't know this, especially when you're younger and like first starting YouTube. You don't want nothing to take it away. Well, now 2015, as I'm like finally self-employed, I don't want nothing to take this away. So I'm thinking around those kind of like same lines, and that was happening around then. What it could have been also could have been Nintendo's partnership program. I think that might have actually been it. Now that I gave myself, see, I'm old, you guys, and I have processing issues, but I think that's what the problem was if you remember these days, I think it started to get like traction in 2014, but around here in 2015, Nintendo was saying stuff like, you can't monetize our content unless you're in the Nintendo partnership program or whatever. That lasted all of like a year or two, but like I was getting scared. Yet I did actually, eventually I didn't have too much to fear, although I did have some things, like you think about like Cat Mario and Cat Luigi and all them, which I think were the previous year, but like they ended up getting claimed by Nintendo. Couldn't do any Splatoon stuff on the task force. Just doing kind of these first party Nintendo titles could actually get you a copyright claim. So not a strike, but a claim, so you couldn't actually make any revenue on it, you know. All that. So it's kind of messy business. Fortunately for me, like every single time that something like this has happened, even if I fall in victim here or there, like the Cat Mario characters, for example, like that one little one-off thing that happened to me, I have largely remained untouched. Scribblenauts is the key, right? That's not a first-party Nintendo property. That's a Warner Brothers, WB Games thing at the time. Now it's under like Shiver, but they probably dropped it too. I don't know where the hell it is these days. Fifth Cell disbanded and all that. So long story, right? But I think that's what was going on. But yeah, I ended up being pretty safe from it, other than the exceptions that I mentioned. But by the way, just FNAF World Creation episode 140 for Scribblenauts. Like, if you think about it in parallels with today, Five Nights at Freddy's kind of being my bread and butter. It got like 3,000 views on day one of the uploading, and now it's at 406,000 plus or something like that to this day. The obvious difference is just like sometimes I'll upload a video today and I'll get 100, 300 views, whatever, and then, I might have like 46K in many years. Let's just say 3 or 4 years or something. That's hardly dead. I don't think that that's completely dead or some insane difference to like point out. It's just, maybe it is when you think about 6-figure numbers or something like that, but that wasn't all my videos. It was just FNAF kind of back then, and then the ones that I mentioned, right? So, again, that was FNAF, and like other like videos that I did and episodes had like 1,000 views on, week one or something. Like, I don't know, I guess I'm just saying it's like so many people for a long time here, as I was on a trajectory down on this channel, wanting to call my channel dead when it actually wasn't really all that dead. It didn't have the FNAF and it didn't have the YouTube system that used to be there in 2015. Yes, I did have a decline of like a dedicated sort of like base audience in the hundreds. It dropped more like to the 10s and 20s and stuff like that, 30s, and that's something still to be grateful for. So I thought that's important. But if you're also keeping track on these like podcasts, we talk about things by month, right? And right now we're just about to talk about November. So if you're wondering like, dang, Dr. Kendo's talking a long time, I know this will probably be the longest podcast. I don't foresee any other of the episodes being this long, but we're about to be November. The year obviously ends after December, so here we go. November 2015 videos, we had some big ones. Sonic.exe, do you remember that? I did this like a little skit in the beginning with like Halloween-y kind of stuff too. Over 3 million views to this day. It's probably like 4. It was like a really good one long term. You know, it didn't necessarily like massively kill on that first day, but pretty good. This was really interesting though, is like I did a live stream, which again, like I had done a few more up until this point, but I really hadn't embraced live streaming too much till this point. I didn't even have the Twitch channel yet, you know, quite. Oh, wait, I did. Okay, the I Am Bread was when we made the Twitch channel. I should have mentioned that because I wasn't doing like Twitch and YouTube streams. So that's right. So I did let that go, actually. I'm just old now, you guys. But so we did, actually. We had the Twitch channel, but we weren't using it. That's the kind of like main thing here, right, to say. But I streamed Roller Coaster Tycoon World. There was like a beta version that had come out right then in November of 2015 that you could stream. You got to think of this as like Roller Coaster Tycoon 4, essentially. It's sort of like a main property title. Roller Coaster Tycoon is dope. I love Roller Coaster Tycoon, man. But I don't know if any of y'all were there on this stream. You probably weren't. It might have just been a little bit too early, but there was this like camera issue, and it ended up being my fault. I would find out. But the game kept going like this. So we'd be like on a part, and then it would move. So like imagine the whole camera of the game moving to the corner. Like it would go down like that, just over and over. I'd be like, wait, why is the camera messing up? I gotta write these guys. It's still in beta. I gotta write the dev team. And it just kept messing up. Like, so the camera would be here, and it would like move every time. Like, imagine one of your keys was stuck, you know, the move key, and it's just like stuck moving the whole time, so I couldn't get the camera to stay still. And then I end the stream because I'm just like, damn it, like this isn't gonna work. And I'm embarrassed as all hell, I'm sad, and people are making fun of me. Some people are giving me support, you know, it's okay, Dr. K, it's all right. I was sitting here trying to make roller coasters after the subscribers who were watching, you know, like if Back to Zero was here, it'd be like the B to Z coaster or something. Nintendo's, you know, cotton candy, like naming the things and the attractions after the people that were in the stream. And so, you know, it had that interactive nature to it, but I just felt so bad. And then, of course, I'm on the call with CK during that whole stream, and he's like, you know, kind of flabbergasted too. He doesn't know what's up, of course. Then I end it, and the first thing I find out is that my chair was slightly on my Xbox 360 controller, which was plugged in to the computer, and if you use the C stick, the right stick, it moves the camera. The whole stream, I evidently didn't move off my chair's movement, didn't move off the controller or anything. That whole damn time, it was me being on the controller, pushed against the ground. Imagine the controller face down on the ground, pushing against the sticks. I feel like an idiot! You know what I mean? So I literally went live for like 15 more minutes to be like, look guys, it works. It was, and like CK was like, you shouldn't tell them that it was the controller. Like, don't tell them. I don't know why again, but he said, don't tell them. But yeah, it was my issue. What an idiot. I can't believe it. I cannot believe it. So, on to happier news. November 6th. The silver play button, which to this day hangs up there in my room. If you're watching this, not just audio, but video too. Look at it. Look at it. My silver play button, November 6th, 2015. I got the metric back in July, which was so appropriate because our channel started in July of 2012. July was always Founders Month. Can you believe this? What an amazing thing. I never, ever thought when I was starting a YouTube channel, I always wanted something like this. This is like my dream. I have just like a complex about like, I want people to see that I'm like accomplishing these things that feel so hard for me. And I don't think people realize it. Maybe today, maybe back then. I just don't know if people really know what it took. it's not blood, but it's like sweat and tears, and it might as well be blood because I gave my body to this, and my body has suffered so much. So it's like a metaphorical blood, sweat, and tears to make this channel, like, and make a community, and to ever hit over 100,000 subscribers. But at that point, 100K plus, YouTube finally had sent it out, is what I'm trying to say. On November 6th, we made a video on it that day. I created it in Scribblenauts Unlimited, so you could see like it was like a half episode where I'm almost like vlogging about opening up my new Play Button Award, and then also the Scribblenauts creation. And you look at the comments, and like some people were like still asking me to like make stuff. They're like, "Hey, can you make like, you know?" But there were some people filling it with love, so I shouldn't, you know, only focus on that, you know. But you have to kind of take the like weird stuff with the good stuff, and the good and the bad, and you know, I'm just explaining. But yeah, I would never escape that for a long time, honestly. Like, no matter what I'd make a video about, it'd be like, "Can you do this in Scribblenauts?" You know, like, it could be a video where, like, no matter how much you tell people not to, or like that it doesn't matter if you request stuff when I'm live because I can't keep track of it. Like, you know, no matter what, people would be asking for Scribblenauts creations. But hey, some FNAF 4 stuff, John Cena later. We even made John Cena. It was really rudimentary. That one was not like a double object where the head and the body were separate. It was mostly to play on the John Cena, the meme, you know. And then the Plants vs. Zombies the nighttime plants, dude. Probably top 30 creations for me, top 40, somewhere in there. It's tough when you've made like, you know, 1,000, 2,000 something creations. I don't know how many one day. I gotta somehow make a count of literally how many objects did I create. But yeah. Huge. That one did huge. And I loved it. I loved creating the Plants vs. Zombies things. They like really transition over well into Scribblenauts. But episode 146, Back to Zero, are you listening? He's live here in the chat, I hope. But episode 146 was the first Undertale creations with Sans and Papyrus. Pappy and Sans up in this piece. Awesome. It was another franchise that would soon become like a second FNAF to me almost. Not quite the numbers, but close. And they were so fun to create. Undertale kind of has this like 2-color scheme tone with the, I guess it's not the overworld, but the like battle sprites and stuff, right? You know, just black and white in a more literal sense. And creating those in Scribblenauts, just amazing fun. So fun. And what people couldn't stop commenting about was that Papyrus's head fell off. I didn't play Undertale. I still to this day have not played Undertale, like number 1. Like I played Deltarune, the first chapter, I guess, because isn't there other chapters? Anyway. But yeah, Papyrus's head fell off. And that's just what happens in Scribblenauts. Like when you make the objects separately, you're basically creating the head of a character as if it were sunglasses. So if a character dies in that game, gets defeated by something, the sunglasses fall down. So just like that, the head falls down, you know? It could be Freddy, and you'd see Freddy's head fall off, you know? So yeah, one of those unintended wins, right? But okay, the last month of 2015, it seems really good when you look at the channel. But underneath, I really don't know how much to talk about with this. When I initially took the notes for the podcast here, I thought about going ham. I got into this fight with my sister and her husband. It was really bad. Really, really, really bad. This changed. It was so bad that I've never recovered. I've tried to like go to therapy in the years since and like focus on this issue. It like shook me, and if you couple it with YouTube, there's just this sense like my sister and her husband were making it seem like I had murdered the Pope. Like it was they were making me out to be like such a bad guy, and like my sister's husband has never liked my wife. And so like sometimes when you come after me, that's one thing. Like most of the time I can either kind of deal with it or like fight it myself. But I have a really tough boundary. Like that's the boundary that crosses the line, is when you attack my wife. When you come after her, and my wife is, not only does she mean so much to me, but I know that she doesn't mean to hurt people. I know for a fact, like she does not have that in her. And I'll just say, like, one of the issues out of many that my sister's husband was bringing up to me, it had no part in the discussion. I did tell him, I said, it seems like, like you might want to just talk to my wife, because it seems like you guys have some conflict, like maybe that needs resolving and stuff. So I kind of like asked him nicely, like, do you think you could talk to her, about it? He went on this like laundry list rant. And out of many things, one of the things he said is like, I really am offended that your wife did not take your last name. He said, I think that, and here's the context he put it in, but he said, like, listen, this is not my beliefs. Like, I am very moderate. I'm like just about the most radical middle of the roader you could be in like a political, social sense. I think some things have like changed over the years, but like especially even back then too, like in this day and age of like December 2015. But like one thing that I don't really tolerate very well is if people like make fun of gay people, like so same-sex marriages, and like I don't find there to be much moving ground on that, because like I find that that's an area of life where people want to have love, right? People want to be treated like humans and have a certain respect and dignity, and then a legal respect and dignity in some cases, and all sorts of things that heterosexual like couples have always had. I've had so many friends who are gay, which is, that sounds so bad because it's like I have a black friend, or like, it sounds like you're using that. Like what I mean is that like I just have these like relationships with people that are so great, who are part of LGBTQ, and like it's one of those issues that I do find myself being a little bit less like middle of the road, right? I am much more in favor of like there should be gay marriage, and I'm just kind of all for like gay power and stuff, and I'm perfectly heterosexual, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't mean anything more than that, right? Like I think that we can all, at least in my community, kind of agree, but I know that that's like a charged issue, especially in today, like when I fast forward now to 2024. But one of the things that he said, my sister's husband said, I'm really upset about how your wife didn't even take your last name on. I mean, now what? Gays can even get married. So like just the issue of marriage is just being degraded now. So like, he's bringing this out, like this political point that, for one, I don't agree with, but like, let's put that aside just because like I try to really be rational if like ever politics comes up and stuff like that. I try to just be very understanding of people's positions. And like, I'm talking, sometimes people can have positions you might find disgusting, like that have no place in this world. And so like, let's please not go down that rabbit hole, but let's take it this way, is that he was saying that my wife not taking her last name was like this thing that he looked down upon, and he likened it to a political like belief that he holds, or held at least. I don't know if he still does. But overall, now throw that aside, and this does not have any place in his business. I don't need to hear this. You know what I mean? Someone else who says that, I can write out of my life. I can, I could even say F you. Like, I could do a lot of things with that, right? Like, that's a boundary crossing thing for me. But, essentially what I had to tell him, and I had to be like so polite, like stepping on eggshells, and just be like, I mean, if there is any time that you thought that my wife is not the most perfect person and best suited person for me, like I would totally need you to not think that way, you know, because that couldn't be farther from the truth. You know, he was liking it to Game of Thrones, which is a show about like archaic medieval times where you would behead people for this stuff. Like he was saying, you know, it's like Game of Thrones, you know. And he was just projecting this thing onto me. He's like, you want to, you know, give a lineage with your last name where your children will have your last name. So he was thinking like my children were going to have my last name. Like this is all stuff that had never been discussed. He just knew that my wife didn't have my last name. I cheer her on. You know what I mean? Like I am very much like, I've had zero problems with that. That has never caused any issue in my marriage. That has never once crossed my mind as like some kind of bad thing. And it was something that I knew going into my marriage that like that was going to be the case. I applaud her for having her last name. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't even believe we're talking about this, you know? I think you can tell that like I'm really trying to hold it together on the podcast, but like this is a thing that brings me so close to the edge of fight or flight or freeze. And like I kind of froze, but I was on a phone conversation with him already, on a conversation where I was just being yelled at. I was being double teamed by my sister and him just yelling at me for things, and I just cannot get into them, but they were about to get married. And so it kind of related to their wedding. And again, I don't really want to get much further into this, but like I say, he just had this laundry list of things against my wife. And it's like, why are you saying this? So like I had to say, like, can you just talk to her? Like I'll be there, but like we all just kind of get together in person and talk about this, because he's just like ranting and raving on the phone. It was so bad. And this whole thing, my sister and him making it seem like I like murdered the Pope again. Like they made me seem like I'm some like disgusting scum of the earth for what happened here. That from this moment on in my life, I already had issues with like my confidence and like being sort of a self-confident person, like and feeling like I was a good person. You know, I'm not good enough, right? So this is playing right into that hand and that belief system that like always has limited me to my core. And it shook me so much that just like, I still feel like I haven't recovered, for one, but it was also being met with people on YouTube saying that I should be different. I was not good enough. But these were people on YouTube who didn't know me, right? So I think you guys all get the lay of the land here. If you're listening to me, you get it, right? Is that like this should not have had the impact that it did on me. You can probably see why it did, because you guys are kind, like beautiful people who feel for me and love me. What I will tell you is that I then became this human form of myself who I judge myself before every statement. My stutter that I developed through doing YouTube, my giving of opinions on videos. Like imagine I wanted to give an opinion about something. I sat there and second guessed every recording. Every time I was going to press R on my keyboard to record something for YouTube, which is every week and then some, I was second guessing every single word that would be uttered from my mouth. And to me, that is such a not good place to be for success, for doing YouTube. Like you are gonna say something that's gonna upset somebody on YouTube. And again, you could be perfect. Some people know Mr. Beast probably isn't perfect, but like you think about Mr. Beast is someone that's like often viewed as giving money to, and let's not get into this because I'm sure there's politics with Mr. Beast and he's probably done some bad stuff, but like I'm just saying, like you think about a video that he does where he opens oil wells in a country that needs them, or like gives $1 billion to like schools or whatever he could do, and like people will hate him, right? So it's sort of like that. You're in a business when you're on YouTube or social content creation where that is a thing. And so It's a big one, you guys. And, I don't want to end on that note. So, like, I was going to end with this story. But that's a big one. That really did fuck up my life. That's about the best I can put it. I have not been on very much speaking terms with my sister and her husband post-COVID when that came about, because that was sort of the event in the world that gave me finally an out. But at this time in 2015, and on the heels of that fight, that battle, I had to see them that Sunday. My family and my dad, who we really wanted to appease and stuff like that, like, my grandfather was still alive at this point. We kind of wanted to appease him as well ever since my mom died, and eat together. We would all meet as a family every single Sunday. And there was so much drama associated with that at random times, because, like, if I wanted to go on an anniversary trip with my wife on September 1st, God forbid it happened on a Sunday where it would interfere with Sunday dinner. And I was already seeing my dad multiple times a week, and, I was in my upper 20s, like, I was going to be 30 years old coming up soon, and, like, oh boy, did this create, like, an unhealthy life situation to be in, dude. Like, my system is in such shock. And still to this day, like, I think so much of it has not recovered, and I've tried, I've been to EMDR, I've been to talk therapy, I've done a lot of stuff, you guys, but let's finally move on. It's just that reopened a wound every Sunday that I had to, like, see them after this fight. You know what I mean? Like, so in December as well, I also did the episode with Brick 101. No longer is that channel active. Unfortunately, we are all at a loss because of Brick 101 retiring from YouTube. Unlike me in working retirement, I think he's pretty much in retirement. But Brick 101 and I collaborated. This was like the first real collab, because, you could consider maybe the Task Force 5 a collaboration and stuff. I had subscribers on videos, but, like, a collab where it's someone that I didn't really know too well, but I was looking up people who were content creators that also did something like me, of creating one universe in another. So Brick 101 did Lego builds. Five Nights at Freddy's characters as Lego, custom Lego builds. So cool, so awesome, great person, you guys. Brick 101 is a champion. This channel a little bit bigger than mine, like 60,000 subscriber gap, probably more than I had at the time. The collaboration was essentially that I would create Emmett from the Lego movie, and he would create Maxwell and Lily as Lego characters and stuff, and we would shout each other's channels. So this was the first time that I had really had a shout out, but it was still for work. I like to say, like, I've never had someone just shout me out and stuff, and that was true for all those years up until then. This one was still the one that involved work. It wasn't just like he shouted me out at random, without me asking or whatever. Like, we planned for a good collaboration, and I had laryngitis leading up to that, so my voice was on some steroids and stuff. Like, it was tough, and then it was coming on the heels of that big fight that I had in the family, and the whole just thing about it is that December looked like it was going good, but wow, was there a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. And so I want to give you guys one last word from the podcast before we're done. And of course, if you're live here with me, I'm going to stick around and chat with you when this is over. But essentially, the next episode will be episode 5 of Kendocast. It'll be 2016. And that was the year that we expanded a little bit on the wins of 2015. I met some more of you guys, maybe some of y'all that might be in the chat, but we also started to round the bell curve a little bit. But these usually end with some kind of like big moment, right? If 2015 wasn't the biggest year and snapshot in Dr. Kendo history, I seriously don't know what was. It kind of proved that if I could do it seriously with no help, there would be hope out there for anyone else to do this as well. Find out everything else that we are and would become on the next Kendocast. Thank you so much for listening. And okay, we should now be out of that. And I will now come to the chat to read from you guys what y'all are saying. Let us see it. Let us see it. I'm scrolling all the way up. Okay. So, Lisa was like, let's go. She said, you gotta let that go. People just like to make noise. Yet we love you, ride or die. So proud of you. Thank you, Lisa. That's so nice. Ninten said, yeah, I get you. We let ourselves be open. All the views will be me on repeat. Lisa loved that show. I'm guessing that's Steven Universe. That's Teen Titans. Okay, because you said that's hilarious about CK that he wasn't in there. Yeah, CK. That was funny. Lisa said, y'all better be slapping that like button. So amazing, very treacherous. We have a wildlife sea mammal rescue. Yeah, Lisa. Yeah. Awesome idea for the Pogo song. Yeah. Pokemon for real. Lisa said, adore Mrs. K. Nintendo was like, Dr. Kendo, you dropped your own crown, king. That's sweet. Lisa said, I'm so sorry, Doc. That's so unfair. Galaxy gave me the love. Thank you. That's very sweet. Lisa giving the hugs. Nintendo said, I know how complex family wounds can get, but just know we got your back, dude. It's very sweet. That's very nice of you. CK said, I'm for sure going to have to rewatch this one. Don't you rewatch all of them, CK? He said, what about me? I told the story of you not being on the call in the Teen Titans commentary, and then we went and recorded you after the fact and spliced you in. And you did little things like, oh yeah, and like reactions that we spliced into it, and it sounded like you were in the call, but you weren't. But yeah, I talked about you at other points too, man, like how you came to visit me and whatnot, which you did several times that year. But yeah, you guys, that that was so rough, and me talking about the family thing, like I didn't get into all of it, of course, but like it's definitely opening up a wound. I feel really weird right now because I know I've opened up on that one in therapy, several times, but like every time I talk about it, it does not feel any better. Like I think I was doing so good at like kind of pushing it down, which is not really the best alternative right now, but it's like I don't really have to see them and stuff when COVID happened, and like that was my out. So when the 2020 podcast happens, like 7 years from now at this rate, I'm just kidding, but like I don't know, maybe a few years from now I'll probably talk about that. But yeah, see you guys, like that was just it was like such a big year, and there was still stuff that I left off, but I just know that like I talk too much, I think, like during these podcasts, so like I can't talk about every last little thing that I want to, but sometimes if you guys are here with me, I'll just talk about some extra here while we're on the live stream. But Lisa's giving the big love. I really appreciate it. I'm just trying to regulate now, you guys, so maybe let's talk about something else than the fight thing, and we'll try to get off of that. But, CK says, 2015 was a shitty year all around personal-wise for me. If I'm remembering right, it wasn't peaches for you either. So that's the thing, is that, it did have some, like, really great stuff, which we mentioned on the podcast. So, CK, yeah, I hope you can go back and watch it, man. But, yeah, it definitely had those things that just, like that, the fight, everything that, like, made it really rough as well, just kind of made me shocked. I think it just made my body like shocked, was sort of the more key way to put it. Because even going viral on YouTube and getting like literal millions of views, like that should be a great thing, kind of in theory, but boy, does that come with a shock to the body and mind, man. Yeah, I swear, like not everyone's cut out to have that happen. Someone might think, man, I want to be famous, like. And I wasn't even famous, but like I was like mini famous. I was like viral, I did for sure go viral because we're talking millions. and over and over and over again. But like, damn, not everybody wants that. Trust me. I gotta say that. So, yeah. Anyway, Lisa said, hey, it's your podcast. Yeah, CK was like, was 2015 the fight? Fuck your BIL, he was. He is a douche canoe. Yeah, he's just somebody that I just don't align with. Like, he's a really, like, aggressive type. There was actually one part in the fight. Damn it, I'm not supposed to talk about it, actually, because I don't want to bring up old shit. But he was just like, he just, like, claimed that he's intense, you know? Like, I felt like he was being so aggressive, and he, you know, he was just like, no, I don't attack people, but I am intense. You know, I was like, why do you need this, like, level of intensity and stuff? Like, he's just one of those people that's, like, aggressive. And I've never really vibed with anyone who's like an aggressive, intense type all the time. You know, kind of these like male chauvinists. He like actually said on that call, he was like, see, I'm like a male chauvinist. Like that's what he called himself. You know, I think usually typically people will, you know, say, God, that guy's such a male chauvinist and it means a bad thing. But he was like owning it, you know, he's like, I'm like a male chauvinist type, you know. And so I was like, okay, like I just never have gotten along really with male chauvinists, at least not on any deep like level. CK said, Mrs. K is a shining beacon of awesome. That's the thing is like, I feel like, you know, so I think she's, so her personality, for those who don't know her, is like, she's like theater. So she's like very bubbly. I think she can be loud to some people, like, but she has like she's good at projecting her voice, right? Because she does theater and musical theater at that. And so like, I think with her being kind of like loud and bubbly, she puts off the people who don't like that. And I think this guy, my brother-in-law, he wants to be that. And she was like, in his mind, stealing the spotlight. You know, he wants it all to be about him, but like she kind of wants it to be about her. You know, if you think about theater folks. And so like, you know, they didn't mesh well together, but there's no reason you have to say any of the stuff that he did. You know, he was like attacking her vegetarianism and just, we need to get off this topic. But yeah, CK said, what games were big in 2015? Any great Task Force games? So yes, please go back and listen to the podcast. But just while we're here, that was the year of Splatoon. So like the very first Splatoon game came out in 2015. So we talked about that. The Mario Tennis for Wii U, that was like Ultra Smash or whatever, came out then. There was a Ratchet and Clank game that came out that year. I think that was the year of Star Wars Battlefront, and I actually did play that game. One thing that I was going to mention in the next podcast, but you guys can like get ready for it, is I was getting ready to write my own like website, like to do my own website, DKC Gaming. And so dkcgaming.com doesn't exist anymore, but like it was my website where once that guy from Bago Games like was chewing me out, even though I was like working super hard for him and stuff, like, and I didn't know him at all, but like him chewing me out and all that, like I was like, I gotta have my own website for this, because like this sucks working for these other people, and like I still wanted to go to conventions and stuff as media, right? You know. But yeah, Splatoon is the bee's knees, said CK. Yeah, man, Splatoon. It's Splatoon 3 is like one of the best Switch, if not the best Switch things for me personally. But yeah, like CK, I talked about some of the Splatfests that happened back then, like hot dogs versus marshmallows and waterfalls versus roller coasters and stuff like that. Autobots, Decepticons. So yeah, I talked about a lot of stuff in the podcast, and some of it, you know, was about you or the task force. So definitely, please, if you have a little bit of time right now, go back. You guys, CK, I don't know if you still have it, but CK had COVID. I don't know if you want me to say that. I'm sorry if that's outing you here. But, yeah, CK, you know, I just really hope that you're doing well was kind of what I was getting to. So, yeah, I kind of caught myself as I was saying that, like, wait, should I tell anybody? I don't know if do people care when you say, like, oh, that person has COVID? Like, does anybody care? CK is just, like, laughing right now. I hope that you're okay, man. He said it's all good. All right, man. Because now I feel kind of bad. I'm like, wait, I shouldn't have said that. I don't know why. He said it doesn't bother me any. All right, man, sweet. I don't want to cross a boundary. But yeah, hopefully. So the reason I was bringing it up though was so that the chat could sympathize and say like, I hope CK gets well soon, because that's what I'm doing. Is I wanted to sympathize and say, hey, please get well soon. But yeah, you guys can hear my tired ass voice, and now Tui's coming in here. Tui wants to eat. My dogs want to eat. So CK says, I still get tired easily, but other than that, I'm good. Lisa said, glad you're okay, CK. COVID, especially early on, sucked ass. Said, thanks for the thoughts, man. Of course. I got crazy thoughts about CK, you guys. Crazy. And if I don't mention it enough, you know, I try to mention every time CK came into town, but like, those were big moments for me personally, you know. So I know CK's talking about 2015 was kind of a shitty year for him on the like personal wise, and obviously you heard about the things that I went through, but like, you guys, when CK would come to town, it's like, you know, you just imagine you're kind of like the best man from your wedding or long lost best friend from college, these types of like relationships, you know, that's who CK is to me. And so like, he and I just, we had a relationship surrounding video games so much our whole time that we've known each other largely. And so like, we would just like literally play video games and eat bad food, good food, but like bad for us food all day, all night, and talk to Steph and talk to her and the rest of the task force. So yeah, it was like kind of just buddies hanging out. Yeah. But Lisa said, bro has long COVID still. Well, let's hope CK doesn't have long COVID, but yeah, he may still be feeling the lingering effects, because I got the long COVID. That was definitely long COVID. Like, I'm probably still not recovered fully from my COVID. But yeah. Yeah, he said, our visits were huge highlights to me. I'm glad to hear it. Poor CK. This dude, I feel like you could sleep anywhere though, but like, I feel so bad for you because like, especially then when we had to move to that apartment, I should have mentioned this on the podcast, but like, you brought a like cot, you know, you brought this like little fucking like tent bed or whatever, and you had such a little room between like the chairs, the computers, and the like wall in that tiny ass apartment that I was in that year. Dude, like if you think about 2015, I was in that apartment that had that tiny ass yard. Like, CK, God bless that CK could sleep in these, like, you know, he's always getting the shaft, I feel like, because when he visited me in 2014, when I was in that house, he had to sleep on my futon, and it was hard like a rock, man. That shit had no back support for us old guys, dude. Damn. So yeah, I hope CK, I don't know if you remember that. He said, I'm not in my 20s anymore. Maybe that was it. I think that was it. You know, we were still in our upper 20s then. But goddamn, in my upper 20s, I was starting to lose it. But yeah. So when Nintendo said, you know, you dropped your crown, King, that's all of you guys, kings and queens up in here in the chat, and anything in between, man. Kings, queens, anything in between, you guys. It means so much to me. I'm going to go ahead and head out. CK, if you want, feel free to hit me up on Discord or something. We can talk there. But I have so much love for y'all, dude. Like, I am just feeling that more and more as I'm like in my YouTube retirement life, and it's really nice. It's really great. So thank you again. And yeah, you guys, that'll be a produced video probably like in a fucking year from now, because it takes me forever to do shit now. But hey, I'm gonna try to get it out as soon as possible as a produced video. But yeah, check out the new channel if you like Dr. Kendo's music. I announced that on the podcast, so if you're just now joining us, Dr. Kendo Music, that's literally the channel's name. And I'll be uploading more songs to it, but right now we got the Pikmin 4 parodies on it, so yeah, check them out, please. Or don't. But yeah, I love you. I love you. Bye.